Hello and welcome to DCP Live, episode number 146. We've got a fantastic show for you guys. Fran is returning, Briar is returning, and we got Byf as well back on the show.
Yeah.
We got Watts, we got myself.
Hello.
It's a DCP show, guys. Let's kick things off. Byf, when was the last time you were on the show, man?
Man, that was just after Forsaken released, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks into Forsaken. I think it was like
that adds up.
third or fourth week or something along those lines.
We still
I
had
don't remember.
the glow of random rolls upon us, you know, just like the random roll glow in our face of getting weapons. Seeing another Go figure drop, you know.
When every
An
weapon
edge
had the
transit
potential to be exciting.
still.
Oh god, it was still a meme. Oh wow.
Hey, I'm getting close to 80 edge transits in my vault finally.
You're
You're
collecting
still
them?
collecting?
Yes.
What the?
As a matter of fact,
Room for
and
that.
I just want you to know, I can sense that judgment. What is up with that?
Good, because it's there.
'Cause it's an adaptive frame, not an aggressive frame. That's why.
It's the edge transit. It doesn't have anything to do with the archetype. It's the edge transit, man. Come on. Man, you guys.
I love you, Teft.
Well, it's been a great show. My name is Stefty Tuff. You can find me. Byf, what have you been up to, man? What's happened since Forsaken?
Oh my gosh. Everything in the world.
Nice.
Yeah. Took a break just like a month or so after Forsaken dropped, just burned out entirely because I saw this recently. There's a place where you can see your Destiny stats and you can see how many hours you've put into the game. And as a result, that's kind of like code for how many hours did I not even wasted, but like it'll go as do a heat map for you. So
Yes.
it's
Oh,
just
the heat map.
this many hours day by day. And then my stuff for Destiny normally is, I'll put like 5 or 6 hours a day in because, end of the day, like it is my job to grind the game. And, there'll be some days where I miss it. It's like, hey, I focus more on video stuff, yada, yada, yada. And then it gets to Forsaken and all of a sudden the colors turn from like green and yellow to like red, purple, deep
Yeah.
purple, almost black. And then
The crunch time.
the crunch time happened and the crunch like threw me off and I took a big break, came back fully rejuvenated. And
That's
ever
good.
since then, it's just been like, hey, let's make a ton of really fantastic lore content. Or at least I hope it's been received well like that.
So,
Yeah.
I'm curious about like the break process. Like so Forsaken happened, how many months after or a month? Like when did you take a break then? Because you noticed like burnout was happening.
Yeah, so it would be inaccurate to say I noticed. It would be more accurate to say somebody brought it to my attention, and then I was like, "Oh God, I need to." Yeah, okay, this was happening, and I didn't really notice it. But no, the whole break process, I just took a month and let everybody know, and that was about it. It was late October to early November.
Yeah.
That was kind of like my timing for things.
So
yeah.
for someone who's not a content creator, can you explain why that happens? Why because for a lot of people, like looking at like what you do, it's like a dream, right?
It's a dream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an absolute dream to be able to produce content about a game you love. And things like burnout happen. And is
There's
there
that phrase that is one of the biggest, happiest lies I think people can say, which I know we've all happily said at one point, which is that if you love your job, you will never work a day in your life. That's a load of BS. That's a load of BS. You can absolutely love your job and still work a ton. It can be your dream job. It can be, something that is incredibly fun to you.
Is that like being paid in exposure? Essentially?
It's a little bit like being paid in exposure. It's just a thought. But no, the whole thing is just, it's basically the whole point is if you are dedicating yourself to anything for an extended amount of time, then you will see yourself burn. And it does not matter what it is. You can burn out creatively from doing anything, right? So artists will commonly burn out creatively because they're throwing themselves at doing a ton of passion projects. And that's not a thing of saying like, oh, well, hey, that's just creative burnout. That's, it's totally different. No, like it is very much a real thing. You, as a human being, need to do other stuff. There needs to be variety. And, if you are cooped up inside, constantly doing the same thing over and over again, it will have real repercussions. Like this is part of the reason why seasonal affective disorder happens, right? Which is basically when you're in the darker months of the year, you get depression because you don't see sunlight. And, it's not just because you go outside and you don't see it. It's also because you've been inside so long. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's a whole combination of different factors that all pull together. But taking that break was the more important thing that happened in the last year. But after all of that, to move on to happier times, like great things happened. Like it was super rejuvenating. So I got the ability to like come back and do some really big projects. Like we did the freaking Last Word video, which I believe you yourself, sir, had a certain part in helping out with. Deft.
Yes,
and it was really really freaking wonderful because we get to produce these amazing things that all of a sudden sort of brought the community together around events in the game. So, you know, Last Word had released like a week prior to that, and it was just like, hey, you know, got this like 90-minute celebration of the entire story.
Yeah, I love The Last Word.
Yeah,
it's still my favorite hand cannon, honestly.
This is the other thing as well. There probably is a discussion for later on during the show, but even its story like continues further into everything that we're seeing later down the line, even into Season of Opulence. Because, you know, we got Thorn back, and now we have the Lumina, which is very much tied in as kind of like, not the bow on top, because that would be very much kind of like the wrong way to describe the entire story of Lumina, but as kind of like the passing of the torch from one generation to the other. And it's this really cool way to continue the story. So I absolutely love that. And yeah, beyond all of just that as well, like the focus is now kind of like three things. For me, it's like create any lore content that I've missed over the year, which is kind of crucially important. So after I finished up the stuff for Season of Opulence, I'm going to go back to Forsaken, and we're going to cover almost all of the big stuff that was missed, with the exception of stuff like, you know, the Mara Center, which is huge, and Last Wish, which requires its own special video, and I want to give that time to cook.
Nice.
And then after that, yeah, my job is to prep people for New Light and for Shadowkeep, which means videos that people expect, like, hey, who's probably going to be the enemy in Shadowkeep? And videos that people maybe didn't expect, like I'm planning on doing another one of those massive 3-hour-long breakdowns of all the story, except this time it literally is going to be from Fundament in the Books of Sorrow all the way up to Shadowkeep. So I'm going to include everything except for probably Last Word.
That sounds juicy.
So yeah, we have a lot to cover. There is fantastic stuff around the corner for us all, and I'm just really, really looking forward to these next few months. I get to jump in and be productive and do something phenomenal.
So I got a question for you. Now that you've learned kind of your burnout limit and you've got all this like really heavy, this big workload in front of you, are you planning another break, like to kind of prevent such a burnout?
So yeah, there's a few breaks planned, but more importantly than just that, there's two big factors for it. First of all was the fact that post Guardian Con, I took like 10 days for myself. And it was just me, a couple of close friends, nothing to do with work whatsoever. I had YouTube stuff scheduled to go up while I was away, so that was phenomenal. God, I'm so thankful that's a feature on YouTube, because otherwise, yeah, it'd be bad. And then also, previously, I did not take weekends, and my weekends are adjusted at current because I am taking Sundays and Mondays instead of Saturdays and Sundays. But yeah, I previously did not take weekends, so that was a mistake. But still, I've done it now and getting back onto that schedule things. So yeah, just a
adjusted
really
weekends
nice
are kind of fly, because you can do a lot more on a Monday than you can on a Saturday when everybody else is trying to do it.
Right.
Yeah. And
yeah,
also,
weekends are important to just take some time to just like, I'm just gonna hang out with some friends or some family. It's really important to get that outside time away from being in four walls
And not have the expectation of work, right?
Yes.
It's like to take time away, but not be like, well, I'll do it in 4 hours and then keep pushing it off, and always having the weight of what I should be doing on me to actually be away for everybody to know you're away. Like that is much more relaxing than
you have to mentally be away as well. Because I did that for a long time, where I was like, well, I'm like sort of working on stuff at the weekend, but I'm like sort of not. And it's just, even if you have a day where you're just sitting around not doing anything, if you're constantly thinking of, I need to do this, I need to do that,
I should be doing this, I should be doing that,
it's still you don't get any actual rest or time away if you're doing that.
Agreed. It's
and
important
it sounds
stuff.
so cliche and so repeated over and over and over again by people of all stripes, but go outside. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get some
I'm so
sunshine.
happy because, like, since last year as well, I moved. Small note, yeah. This is like a new office, a new place, and everything. And outside, I actually am just off of a bit of greenery, so I can go outside and see trees. Like, yeah, #1 top tip.
Aren't they
See
all
some
on fire
green
right now
every
out there?
day. A little crispy, just a little bit crispy.
Toasty trees.
Toasty. Yeah. Nah, if you can go outside and experience something green, genuinely, it sounds so cliche, but put the grass between your toes, you know?
Right.
Keep thinking you're speaking in euphemisms, like get some
green.
put the grass between your toes. Anyway,
I mean,
that's not how I smoke pot, but hey, whatever.
I mean, look, I'm not out there in California, Fran. It's not legal over here in the UK, sadly.
I mean, if you can go lay in the grass while also having some grass.
Right.
Lay in the grass while basking in the grass.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
funny,
nice.
huh?
You know,
Nice
I wouldn't
relaxation
complain.
I go to Central Park in VR. That's like nearly the same thing.
I bet you do. I bet you take quite the trip, Briar.
I bet Briar goes to the beach in real life with his virtual headset on. And he's sitting there like surfing, playing some
I wear blue
football.
blockers. It's like the same thing.
Nice. So, I got a question as well. Who do you think is going to be the enemy of Shadowkeep? The force of evil that we're repelling?
So the community is abound with theory right now,
Yes.
and I think it should be stated whenever something like this gets pulled up. I'm just going to recite what is the more common community theory, and of course, it being theory confirms nothing. So don't go ahead and
Proclaim
immediately spout the idea that this is gospel. But I stand by the idea that we could be seeing our first glimpses of the true darkness as far as enemies are concerned in Shadowkeep. And there's some really
true
big
darkness. What does that
hints.
mean?
So again, just the idea of what the Hive worship at its core is not just the sword logic, but is also the force behind that. You know, the sword logic is a force of darkness itself. And when I say true darkness, I really do mean true darkness. So whatever the kind of malevolent presence behind all of that is, may be making a very subtle appearance in Shadowkeep. And there's a few hints that we get to this, right? So take a look in the marketing where the phrase that is constantly being repeated over and over and over again is the darkness is closer than you think, which I think, despite the fact that they've not shown any kind of major villain, is one of the big hints towards what's happening. On top of all of that, there's the smaller hints that you get throughout the entirety of the game. It's things such as we're going back to the Black Garden in the raid, and what did we face first in the Black Garden was the heart of darkness that was corrupting the Vex. And then you can take even further ideas. Let's say that you're looking back to that whole screen grab that you got from GDC 2013, where it shows off Race 5 in Destiny, which again is the pyramid ships and a floating spectral person. You see a whole lot of those floating spectral people around the Hellmouth. And whilst there's theories abound as to what that's all about, you know, there's an entire slew of people who say that that is very much related. And whilst I'm not convinced at the exact moment by everything, I feel like it really veers strongly towards that idea. Plus, I mean, did anyone finish the Invitations of the Nine? Like,
Yeah, he flipped over the coin.
Actually.
He flips the coin and it's the darkness
Boom.
ship, and then all of a sudden it's kind of
Doritos.
like Callas. Yes,
Callas
the
is
greatest foe.
Callas is all chummy with the Dorito chips.
And Callas keeps on talking about how, like, hey, you know, the darkness is coming. The entire point of the Chronicon is it's the point of history from the Midnight Coup all the way till the end of time, when the darkness consumes everything, and Callas is the final thing in the universe to die. You know,
Wow.
even since way back
It's
when
heavy.
in Forsaken, the Queen keeps on talking about all this stuff to do with, like, hey, we're going to have to face things in the Cosmic War, and I'm choosing my side. And previously, there was this thing of it wasn't really clear which side the Queen is taking. It's now clearer and that she has definitely taken the side of the light, but, you know, like, there are all of these big pieces moving together, and the Cosmic War is really starting to take shape, you know? Like, we've done our kind of assembling of the various Avengers characters, and there's going to be a DLC or a game at some point that comes along and says, okay, here is going to be our Avengers Assemble type deal, you know? Like, wait until
That'll
you
be
see
a
all
cool
of these different
cutscene. Oh
elements.
man,
Right.
that'll be amazing.
I cannot wait to see Anna Bray, Rasputin, Osiris, Petra, the Queen, like a reincarnated Toland, maybe, I don't know, ish. All these different characters just like line up behind our Guardian and say, like, we've got your back, go.
Yeah.
Like,
That'd
can
be
you
awesome.
imagine how cool that would be?
I would
Like,
cry.
I'd be super freaking proud. But no, it's working towards that kind of big confrontation. And, you know, there's always these little hints. Take even Bad Juju, right? Bad Juju releases, and it's got this fantastic mission to it. But the lore tab is really ominous because it talks all about how there is this massive kind of like contumely pyramid within the Ascendant realm of those that follow the sword logic. And, you know, take aside the imagery of a pyramid, which is very convenient for what we call those ships constantly, despite the fact that tetrahedrons, not pyramids. You go ahead and take a look at the idea of there's a being at the top of the pyramid. And apparently, even now, we, having killed Oryx, having beaten back the Cabal in the Red War, having reignited the Traveler, having done all of the crazy stuff we've done, even killing Riven, we are still supposedly like a meager tithe to them. And supposedly we are, and they talk about this idea of a rope pulling from two ends to cause tension, and that they know they need to sort of hew themselves against sharp whetstones as opposed to soft ones. And so it's this idea that we are being built up potentially for this greater presence at the top of that contumely pyramid of the sword logic, which is really scary because it's basically this thing of like, you know, we think ourselves really strong, but at the end of the day, to the darkness, we are ultimately just kind of meager. We're next to nothing. So yeah, awesome stuff in terms of like the preparation for everything. But it really does point towards like, hey, you know, this is getting serious. The darkness really is getting close. It's a threat. It will happen.
It's interesting thinking that that's going to be in Shadowkeep, because initially when we like theorized about this, when they first kind of hinted that a DLC was coming, we're like, we're probably going to have some other tangent that's going to happen, and then the darkness or the triangle ships are probably going to be Destiny 3 down the road. But this feels like it's accelerating pretty quick, because just like I said, at the end of the 9 quests, and then he flips over the coins, and the next enemy is the triangle ships. It's like, okay, well, I guess, are they going to pause that for several years? I don't think so. I think that's coming. Well, I mean, next,
you know,
right?
Like, how does a wave break? They break in formations of 7, right? So whenever you have something like this, I feel like this is going to be the first quote unquote wave. You know, if this is the first influence and the first touch of darkness that we see, it's not necessarily going to be like, oh damn, full pyramid ship invasion, galaxy's in trouble. But it's going to be this thing of,
so the recon ships.
They're back. They are present. They are here. You know your enemy by the end of this expansion. That's what
nightmares. So many nightmares.
Yeah. It's fascinating thinking about what Destiny's going to look like with this nightmare kind of underlying horror theme that's going to happen with this. Because
I love Dark Destiny.
Yes.
Can I just say as well, it feeds so beautifully into the feel. Like that 40-second Shadowkeep like location trailer they showed off at GuardianCon, now GCX, I guess. God damn, that's so good. Yeah. Like, it feeds into exactly what Watson you guys have been saying, which is just, Dark Destiny has a certain vibe and a certain feel, and this is so in it, right?
Yep.
Like, it's the Dreadnought and the Hellmouth mashed together on steroids with fire. It's great. I love it.
Yes.
Very true.
Absolutely.
I was just gonna say, I thought Crown of Sorrows was that awesome prelude to that feel. Like we all feel like everybody got inside Crown of Sorrows, and that just haze, the uncertainty, and it was like creepy. And we don't see that as often, where there's not a vibrance to the world, and like that excited me. I just remember looking in that room, and it was even a little like, you know, you couldn't even quite see through it. You're like, what is this? You know. So I feel like that's
like,
hopefully how Shadowkeep feels.
Yeah.
Like the mist could pull back and something giant could be waiting there in the background for all you know.
But, you can't get less subtle than a giant blood red keep that is in on the moon. So that's
like poking
that's
out
a scary,
cracking the surface open with like a keep poking out. Yeah.
And it's blood red. I mean, I'm so excited for that.
Also, I said this earlier on Twitter, but it's Barad-dûr, guys. It's absolutely freaking Barad-dûr from Lord of the Rings.
Yes,
that's what I freaking love about it, man. We've had Rivendell, and now we get to go to Mordor. It's phenomenal. It's great.
A good
I love
point,
it.
Actually. Yeah. I never really thought of Dreaming City that way. I think I did in the back of my mind, and then when you just said it, I said, oh yeah, duh.
It's just space Rivendell. It's great.
Yes. I love where this is going now.
Man, you guys are a bunch of nerds.
Thank you.
So I did.
Thank you.
That may have something to do with why we're on a podcast about a video game. That,
Yeah.
Nerds.
I don't know what you're talking about. I did want to ask Byf about Guardians becoming shadows, because that's something that's been available now quite recently, that people have got the shadow title. And we hear all the time that Guardians becoming Shadow of Callas has some really big lore implications. So I was wondering if you could tell us about that.
Yeah. What is our relationship with Callas? Because I'm confused.
So you. So your relationship with Callas is whatever you decide it to be. That is what will probably be canon. However,
Hefty is Callas's whore.
Oh no!
That warlock skirt looks pretty. Okay.
Excuse me, Hunter.
oh,
Them Hunter
wow.
cheeks prancing around.
Sorry, I've still got a bit of a cough in the background.
No problem.
Anyway, so yeah, your relationship to Callas is as you decide it, but the Shadow title, I think, exists for a very strong reason, which is all to do with the Chronicon, right? Now, before you jump in and actually do anything to read the Chronicon, a few things you should know. It is very much... it's written by a dictator and his scribes. So I should tell you everything you need to know about its accuracy and its authenticity. Also, it tries very often to predict the future with mixed results, right? So it will go on and talk about how we slew the beings known as Exodus and Black, and then it will also later go on to talk about how it makes failsafe the shadow of the Exos, and then is like, there's a note saying like, as it turns out from my research, Exodus Black, in fact, is fail-safe. You need to rectify this now. You know, so that gives you an idea of the veracity of everything that you see within that. And the entire idea of the Chronicon is basically charting the journey from the Midnight Coup, which is where Callas is exiled and sent on the Leviathan, all the way up to whenever you come along, you become a shadow, namely the Shadow of Shadows and the Shadow of Earth. And you start, according to the future written in the Chronicon, to lead Callas's armies and to eventually bring about the dominion that he builds over all of Sol, right? So it literally goes through this series of fictional events that may happen or may not. We're really not sure if they will, because again, Callas supposedly has seen the darkness, so maybe these things do happen, maybe they don't. But, you know, it's things such as we go to the reef and we kill the queen. And then Petra swears fealty to us and becomes the Shadow of the Awoken. And then it's, you know, we have a mighty war and we destroy Rasputin on Mars and the city surrenders. And then, you know, we have this massive battle with Ikora and we kill her and we execute Zavala after he's had a day and he plays checkers one last time with Hawthorne. Literally, that happens, you know. Like, it's all these fictional events that ends in a whole bunch of people basically either being killed or becoming a part of Callas's loyal kingdom. And then it all is leading up to the events of the darkness coming and extinguishing all life in the universe. And there's a really good reason why all of this happens from Callas's point of view, which is that he wants a united society within the Cabal Empire where everyone can basically just celebrate opulence together, because his idea is now one of nihilistic optimism, right? He's saying the world is going to end, so we might as well just enjoy ourselves, right? So I'm going to make my entire job to be the last living being alive. My shadow is going to be the second last being that lives. I'm going to kill the shadow, very specifically. And then after all of that's said and done, you know, it'll be fine, because everyone who has survived and who has died from the darkness will have lived in opulence and had a great time. And, you know, like, the idea itself is wonderful, except for the fact that he's basically embracing the oncoming darkness and saying, it's fine, it can kill us. You know, so yeah, that's the entire idea of the Chronicon and the relation to Callas and why the Shadow title really exists. Because again, like, we have to prove our worth to become worthy of being a shadow. You know, only the strongest examples of certain species get to become Callas's shadows, and these are very much our tests, our proving ground, right? So Crown of Sorrows, the Menagerie, Heroic Menagerie, all of these things are specifically designed to put us to the test and to make us prove our worth. You know, the whole grow fat from strength thing is very much Callas preparing us for this moment.
Wow.
Callas sounds crazy, man.
He's crazy. He's totally nuts. He's drunk on power and wine. That's the best way of putting it.
Is his real identity a tiny scion, old man scion? Because people think it is. They think that they're gonna find Callas one day and he's got this like giant robot and he's just this skinny little old man scion.
Right? Like that's the other really good thing, which is we've not seen his true form.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
It's really interesting.
We've always been spoken to by automatons. We've never seen them. There's a lore book called Confessions that you can also unlock. It's the one that you get through the different like treasure pots, I believe, within the Menagerie and Crown of Sorrow and the Tribute Hall. But the interesting thing about that book is that when you actually look at it, it talks about a scion called Match, who also supposedly has a few points. For example, there's one where he sits down in the royal baths with Callas. And it's unclear there whether that's the real Callas or whether it's another automaton. So, again, nobody's entirely sure about this one. But, yeah, the one thing we can accurately state is we have never seen Callas. We don't know what Callas actually looks like. The automata that we face in the Leviathan raid back in D2 Year 1, and the ones we always hear from, yeah, we have no idea if that's his actual appearance or not.
I love this, having like an ongoing story with this guy. Like most raid bosses are good for a DLC. You kill him at the end of the DLC, and then it's kind of over. You never really hear about him again, unless their dad comes to avenge their death. But Callas just keeps coming around, right? We've had 3 different raids kind of around this dude, and it's just been really fun. Just kind of like having a character who's not necessarily a good guy, who keeps coming back. He keeps coming. We don't just kill him and that's the end of it. It's like the Joker to our Batman,
Yeah.
I got it.
Our relationship with him evolves.
I got it. So you remember how the stranger disappeared? It turns out it's Callas. All right.
Yeah. All right.
So the stranger decided to create a very elaborate plan, hooked up with the darkness, and now we got crazy, psychotic Callas bots chasing us. But it's actually the stranger, testing our will and stuff.
You think we'll ever see the stranger again, Byf?
I think we will, given the right time and place. I feel as though there's
cutscenes.
Yeah. Feel like all of a sudden, and the stranger.
I'm back.
And she's still talking to somebody, and you're like, who are you talking to?
Like, there's so if you remember back from the Warmind lore, when we learned that the stranger is actually Elsie Bray, you actually get this whole point of saying like she's watching over Anna pretty consistently. So that's a really like neat tie-in with all the story stuff. But I feel as though she's got to appear for the simple fact of at some point time travel in Destiny has to be a thing. And we know that it has to be a thing because Perfect Paradox exists. And at some point we need to hand that back to Saint 14.
Right.
It's as simple as that. Right? So we are going to have the ability to time travel at a certain point, which means we may well encounter the Exo Stranger at a certain point in time. And if we do, it's going to be in some kind of thing where we have the context of time travel. And there's really cool theories that relate to the Exo Stranger, which say that the person who she's actually talking to is us. Right? And again, there is no basis to prove this.
Right.
But, if we are going to do a time traveling type thing and we run into our former selves, it's a great, way of explaining around that cutscene if suddenly we're able to mash those two cutscenes side by side and we're able to put our dialogue, the Exo Stranger's dialogue, and past our dialogue together. And again, we have no idea if that's going to be the case. They may just completely evolve that way. I'm very much at this point, I'm very much pro the Bungie writers doing whatever they want to do because their guidance of it is undoubtedly going to be better than any one person in the community. But
actually, it's going to be our ghost talking for us to her. We won't be saying anything, obviously. It's our ghost.
Oh, well, yeah, clearly.
It's going to be talking to the stranger.
It is one quest I wish they'd give us is just our ghost and us given a few lines of dialogue explaining why we don't talk and just talking. I'd love it to be a commentary on trauma almost because we've seen so much stuff happen within the last few years since we've been rezzed. And I'd love it to be this thing of saying hey, I've seen things, man. I don't want to talk. You occasionally rouse me from my stir every 5 years or so, but you don't do that lightly. Just let me be. Let me do my job. let me do my duty. I don't want to talk, right?
Mhm.
Even just something as
Yeah.
simple as that, I would love to be able to sort of like pay service to it almost, you know?
Yeah, to give
You know.
legitimize the fact that we're so silent in those
Exactly.
conversations.
Yeah. Because anytime you see our guardian in a cutscene, they're very much so just like down to business, doing what needs to be done.
Yep.
So that quest would
Nod
be
and
a
wave,
perfect
right?
setup for that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
that'd be cool.
It makes things like when our guardians do speak so much more powerful. And, you know, there's even
Yeah.
previous instances where we spoke, it was kind of cool because we had a fantastic voice cast. And, you know, like, I imagine that it's going to be a really tough one to do because whenever you do a guardian's voice line, what voice do you guys hear? Because I hear Matt Mercer doing the human male, but everybody has something different. And then you also have to do localization for that, which means something like
Gilbert
10
Gottfried.
languages now. So yeah, like, you know, you take 6 voice actors, have 10 different variants according to which language, and then you have to do everything around that. That's a lot of work, and that's
Yeah.
a big
It's
voice
a lot.
budget.
Yeah, exactly.
But at some point in a mainline quest, I think it'd be really good to have. And it makes some sense as to why things like in Forsaken, you know, you get 9 words out of your Guardian in Forsaken, and that's huge, right? You get 8 words in the first bit, which is, you know, the whole thing of Aldrin solve is mine, and then you just get the spider deal. And that's it. It's just like, there's a very good reason for all of that, which is definitely like budgeting on the side of the studio, which, you know, practical realities of everything. But I feel as though it's something I'd love to see.
Yeah,
Just because, again, the
Yeah,
Silent
for sure.
Guardian thing can be so beautifully explained.
for sure.
Yeah.
I got a question about Aldrin. First off, why does Fran look so much like Aldrin right now?
No hairspray, dude.
Fran, are you Aldrin?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm emoing out. I'm an edgelord.
You should do the little.
Why'd you kill Katie,
It's not,
bastard?
it's not as long as
Yeah.
this, but here, I'll...
Who do you have against
luck.
Kane 6,
Yeah.
Fran? Jesus. What is happening with Aldrin? Do you think he's going to show up in Shadowkeep and like lay down some Guardian law or something?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's all mystery still, right?
That's a blank one, huh?
Yeah, so with Aldrin's story, it's one of those ones where they've left it very much open-ended with the whole pulled pork revelation, and that is
Yeah.
undoubtedly deliberate because they'll want to write him in whenever they want to.
Mm-hmm.
I think Shadowkeep is going to be focused pretty purely on Eris and on her story. I think
so
if we're
exciting.
going to see Aldrin, we'll see hints of him in the lore from like small future points from now, and then whenever he actually takes the stage, it'll be in a later expansion. I don't think they'll
Destiny
save
2
him for D3.
Redemption.
I'd love to see that.
2020.
But yeah, like,
Destiny 2 Edgelord.
Yeah.
yeah.
Emo
I feel like, yeah, I feel like they're hopscotching some of these characters around now, which is the right way to do it. And I think you're right about that, where it's like, part of it would make sense that he suddenly would appear in Shadowkeep, but I think like it'll be kind of like the Shadow will have some hints. Also, we'll get a little bit maybe around Aldrin, but that's for later, whether it's,
Yeah.
you know, the next, you know, seasonal pass or whatever it is.
And, you know, they've said as much that now that they're no longer bound by the Activision time schedule and, you know, they no longer need to release extra games and everything, they can tell things at their own pace. And so before they go ahead and do Destiny 3, they are still going to tell stories in Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like that's so wonderful. And I love the progression of all that because all of a sudden you have the ability to actually tell stories with your own kind of like emphasis on time. You know, you don't need to rush. That's great.
Yeah, I could see them actually
That's
doing
amazing.
like a Season of the Prince type of thing. And if they didn't want to have like a full-on DLC with that storyline for Aldrin, if they wanted to start telling part of that story with like seasonal content, do how they did with the Queen and the Trials of the Nine story every week, unfolding another piece, could see part of that.
Season of the Porky Boy.
Yeah. Season the pork chop or pulled pork.
The
Yeah,
What
ghost
is
is
it?
amazing.
What's his ghost name?
Pulled
Pork chop.
Is it pork chop?
Pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
It's not
Pulled
pork
pork,
chop.
that's right.
It's not pork.
I keep
chop.
wanting to call him the pork chop, but it's
'Cause
pulled
it's
You and
pork.
cute.
everyone else, dude.
Because he's a cute little pork chop.
Pork chop.
It's pulled pork.
Pork chop.
I'm
little
glad that I think I heard you mention Destiny 3 Byf, and that's a great segue to the thing that's been on my mind. I know like 2% of what you know about the lore, probably 0.2% to be honest. So walk me through this. But in other words, for Destiny 3, where do you see the story needs to go. Like, in other words, can Destiny 3 just do what Shadowkeep is doing and be like, no, that's Destiny 3 because of the gameplay and other things? Or do you feel like the story has to culminate and do something like we do time travel? Or in other words, if Shadow's coming, do you feel that is potentially Destiny 3? And also, I'll finish this by asking you when you think, if there is a Destiny 3, when it will be.
So let's put it this way. When Destiny 2 came out, they had to come up with a MacGuffin that basically said, your gear is gone.
Right.
So I feel as though if we are going to see Destiny 3, we may see a similar MacGuffin. And what is more devastating than the city being devastated and just destroyed? It's the entire Guardian civilization being uprooted generally. Right? I feel
our
as
whole
though
system begin destroyed.
our whole system will be left in chaos, is what I feel like it may be. But even then, it's so open-ended. You really could do anything to it. And the nice thing is that even if they've started like pre-production on Destiny 3 with a small number of the studio members now, they can really start to sort of like iron out that story as they go, and they can start to form the building blocks for whatever they want. Now, of course, there is the other option for them, which is that, lo and behold, it turns out, you know, we can transfer all our old gear from D2 to D3. I don't think that's probably going to happen, because that sounds like it's... The logistics behind that would be insane. It would be absolutely ridiculous. Having said that, it's not totally impossible. And even if that does happen, you know, I'd love to see how that goes. You know what my pipe dream is, though, Fran? I would love to see us... I'd love to... So, okay, so... Hear this. Back in the Grimoire, there's this card that talks about a vision that Praedyth, or sorry, not a vision that Praedyth, a vision that a ghost who's lost in the Vault of Glass sees. And it's of this fleet of ships. Some of them are wearing Dead Orbit banners, some are wearing FWC, New Monarchy, Vanguard banners. Like, it's just generally pretty clear that they've taken all of the infrastructure of the tower and put it into a fleet and uprooted everything, right?
Cool.
And, you know, the fleet jumps briefly. Some ships power down because they're out of fuel and they're just left adrift, and others just keep going, and then, poof, they jump out again. I would love us to be kind of like the Lord Admiral of a fleet, and to get, instead of a tower, get like, you know, a command cruiser or something. So instead of returning to tower, you can return to orbit and then return to home base, you know?
So something like Battlestar Galactica, where we have
literally this a million times.
Wait, you're giving up on Lord of the Rings so quickly?
No, Battlestar Galactica 100%. I'm way behind this.
Dude,
we're running from the darkness.
That's a cool idea, though.
Yeah, like I'd love to see that be the case, because even if like that then maybe becomes the entire emphasis of the campaign. It's like, we've lost the city, the darkness has surrounded the traveler, and we need to break it out, and we've got to reunite with it. So you can have these persistent mechanics of like, you know, we need to go around the entire system, but it also plays into this deeper element of Destiny's lore, which is that the city and some of its forces, particularly Dead Orbit, have always had this fleet, right? For Dead Orbit, the entire purpose of the fleet is, you know, being there as a path to Exodus when we do leave Sol, in their mind at least, you know? So we have this fleet of ships around, and we've never really seen that kind of expanded upon, because again, it's probably meant to be more of a civilian escape fleet. But I'd love to see it at the end of Destiny 2 be the case that we just find a Cabal base that has all of this military infrastructure, and suddenly we start building our metaphorical battle stars. And then it's just like, hey, you know, these are going to be the ships that will bear us into the future. This is the point at which we make a statement of like, humanity stands united, and we have this military power now, and it's time to push back. And then the darkness is like, that's cute.
Nah,
how about no?
Interesting.
I love it.
I'd love to see an idea like that, but again, like, anything I'd put forward is nothing but speculation, and Bungie writers write what they want to write, and they'll do a good job.
I've felt this way for a long time about Destiny, in that it's a game about space and about like these possibilities that are clearly outside of our solar system, and yet we haven't gone outside of our solar system except for unknown space with the 9 people and the god awful map Equinox, and like. I want to explore. I want to go to other places. You know, I don't want to just stay in the solar system. I want to go check out these other places that exist in this universe, like where the Cabal came from, and like it's clearly a huge network out there of things that are going on in the galaxy. And like, I'd love the story to embrace that more, for us to be more a part of that.
I both agree and disagree. I love the fact that Destiny is grounded in our local system, but by that same token, if you sat there and told me that I could go hunting on the desert wastes of Toro Battle, and that then I could go back to a social space that's just in like an opulent marketplace that has suddenly been reunited into Callas's fiefdom, like, oh my god. Dude, there is so much cool
That sounds like a
stuff you
space
could do
journey.
with it. Like, it literally would be. And then, you know, you go back to all the other different races and what you could do with them, you know? Like, you take the Fallen, and we could potentially rediscover the system of the Elixir if it hasn't been completely extinguished, you know? I don't know what the extent of the whirlwind was for them. Maybe they've lost everything. But even if there's a little bit of something left, it'd be nice
I'd love to see that.
go
I'd
back
love
and
to see
see
the
that.
Fallen explored more. They're so interesting.
And,
That like it'd be amazing to see us like actually use that Battlestar idea, like, get forced out of the solar system, and then in a few years, like with Destiny 4, come back and try and take it back. You know, like that'd be really fun, because then it would connect you back to our home, and you'd get to see, you know, that kind of stuff again. That'd be really cool though to leave.
Do we know about what the home planets are for any of the enemies? In other words, we're from Earth, right? Do we know? In the lore, have they said like this is their home planet?
For some of them. So they quote that Callas's capital was Toro Battle, which is which, again, like that's the supposed Cabal Empire's homeworld, and their homeworld only by virtue of the fact that Callas moves the capital there, or moves his imperial palace there, rather. So it's there's also the question of whether Toro Battle is a city or a planet. I feel like it's been more confirmed to be a planet, but I can't say to be exact. We know that the Fallen come from a system that was destroyed in the whirlwind. We know the Hive are like originated from a planet that crashed into Fundament, probably. That's assuming that the Books of Sorrows is telling the truth and the complete truth, which it might not be in all parts of it. And then beyond just that, the Vex were apparently birthed from Mars, if we're to believe the Black Garden was the place where they were born, but even that's not truly well known. So we know some stuff about the origins, but not everything.
Those origin places is what really like invigorates a space opera type of experience for me. And that's why I feel like I'd love to be able to see outside of our solar system beyond just unknown space, because clearly it's happened, and they've you know, some of those Exodus ships. I don't know the lore on the Exodus ships, but did some of them make it outside of the solar system? Or did all of them get...
I'm going to go ahead and say probably no. The furthest one out that made it was probably Exodus Black, but that crashed on Nessus.
Right, on Nessus, yeah.
And as for the rest, like, the common thread seems to be that they were caught in the wave of darkness at the collapse's onset.
Oh, really?
So that's what happens to things like Exodus Green, which is also known as Yang Li Wei, which is what birthed the Awoken. You know?
So what I find interesting is like the attempts were there, but obviously other species made it to our system, and so there is like this transaction of travel to take part in the story, and like that's always what I've wanted out of Destiny, because like I love those aspects of the fact that the Cabal have a home, and it's not just pure militarized, but there's actually people who are living, you know, and like living in opulence and all that, and like. The Elixir had like a whole civilization that was a civilization of not just like being brutalizing everybody, but like it was a society, you know, like it got torn down. Like those things are fascinating to see.
Can you imagine just pulling up in a Fallen like just city, and the Fallen are just like, you know, working in the grocery store. You got some guys selling newspapers. That'd be amazing. I would love to see stuff like that, like actual civilization of these races that we've been fighting.
So you know what's really sad about the Fallen note of that is that even if the like idyllic Fallen society did exist, now it's been lost. During the Black Armory and Season of the Drifter, they actually have a few lore tabs and lore cards which talk about the Fallen generally. And the scary thing for them is they're losing their cultural identity, because new Fallen who are being raised are born here in Sol, in our own system, and they're starting to bring things into their culture which are more reflective of our culture, our old Earth culture. So, you know, there's crime syndicates now which exist within the House of Dusk, which is part of the reason why you get the main Kel's Scourge enemy in the Black Armory. And those purely exist, both built out of the pirate-like ways that evolved from the noble houses that came along, and also from the lack of any kind of strong cultural kind of identity that runs through the Fallen now. So they've lost all of that stuff that makes them what they were as Elixni, and they need to kind of like go back and find it, which is part of, again, it drives a whole bunch of different members of Fallen society, you know? Aramis is trying to reforge the ways of the more contemporary Fallen, with trying to get back to the ways of pure piracy in a noble house. Varix remembers the true ways of old, which is all about saying like, hey, you know, we didn't used to be Fallen, we used to be Elixni. I remember when we were noble and mighty, and we should build a Fallen house that's all about that. And then there's others who are just saying, screw this, we need to just embrace the fact that we are different, such as Mithrax, who is now, of course, joining with the Guardians in the House of Light.
Fascinating.
Wow, that was weird.
Do you have any animals in your house?
No.
Is it the
Sounds
Elixni?
like a
The
cat
sun
jumped
is
in the-
melting the.
You holding
melting the-
Mithrax in there?
Nope. Sorry, the entire thing just shuddered. Anyway, whatever. I'm sure it was.
Did it really?
Earthquake, probably.
It could have been a mini earthquake. I don't know.
Could have been.
In
The
London?
world just burst on fire outside of your door.
I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
Brexit. It was Brexit right there.
That was it.
Brexit.
It just happened, dude. You shouldn't joke, but those are not good jokes. For
Sorry, sorry, guys. That's
Too
a
soon,
bad
dude.
one.
All I will
Not
say
taking
is
it
I
back,
studied
though.
politics for 3 years. I have my ultimate get out of jail free card, which is I studied it and I never have to do anything about it ever again. You know. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to space politics and space opera stuff. Like
Space
that's
politics, not
Pipes
real
apartment's
politics.
haunted.
yeah.
Yeah.
Moon's haunted and Bike's
That's the
apartment's
name of the
haunted.
show. That's the
Yeah.
show this week.
Yeah.
Bike's apartment's haunted.
So I would love for Bungie to explore those things and go deeper with it, because I think it's just so fascinating, the world that they created, but it's always like so shrouded with those things, those like things that aren't just pure combat with these enemies. Like I love that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely agree. And also, I gotta reiterate what sorry, I can't get this idea of Destiny-esque Battlestar Galactica out of my head now. And I
Yes,
love it.
it's beautiful,
I just
right?
love it.
I love it.
Dude, I can't wait. Like, can you imagine our version of like the Pegasus moment, where it's like all of a sudden we find like, holy Lord, we're not alone.
Yes.
And then it's just like, I don't know, maybe we discover like a friendly house of lost fallen and their catches join our fleet, and suddenly it's like, you know, the population number jumps up a couple thousand. We're like, yeah, let's do this.
Gives me
It's like,
goosebumps,
oh,
like
it's
a
the
man.
best.
fallen babies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like the idea that the darkness was so strong that it wiped out everything that we know and we had to go on the run would like
I love
make
that.
it would make Destiny 3 so thrilling to like be okay. Like, all right, they wiped everything out. We only have a few things and we're going to different places because the darkness is that bad, man.
And then we can go on those quests back to the EDZ to find a lost temple that has all our guns in it.
hell yeah.
Look at this. I minted a fresh Mida multi-tool off this new planet. What? Damn it, Bungie. Why did you do this?
But every single exotic will be like cracked and dirty.
Yeah.
All of them.
Actually, if they're
Can you imagine a day when the mountaintop becomes an exotic?
oh man.
Oh, it's happening.
Oh,
That's how they.
boy.
That's gonna
That's
happen.
how it starts.
If
Yep, yep.
if they were
It
like
already is. It's just not labeled right.
imagine if there was like darkness infected exotics.
I know. I
That'd
was
be
thinking
awesome.
about that. Yeah, like shadow.
I like it.
Shadow
darkness,
exotics.
weapons.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You have to spec enough shadow darkness in your character to be able to use it or to get the perks.
So, all seriousness, if you take a look into the Lumina Law, this is kind of one of the cool little points that Shin Malphur has always been trying to teach us, which is to separate both light and dark from their respective pools of power, right? So, you know, it's one of these ways of saying, like, hey, Thorn is a weapon that is tied to darkness, undoubtedly, but it is not about the darkness that we need to contain and control. It's a thing of simply saying we need to separate its power from its corruption, right? So that we can eventually use that against the greater shadows of the darkness itself. So, I mean, you know, you joke about speccing into shadow darkness and everything, but I mean, you know, we're already kind of doing it. Lumina is born partly out of an understanding of how to smith a thorn, right? Because effectively what we do is we reverse engineer the process, and we sit there and we think about like, well, hey, thorn was crafted with all of these intentions and out of all of these things, what if I just did the reverse? What if it was all about like, hey, instead of strength alone, what if it was strength in unity? So, you know, not too completely out of the question, my dude. Like, you touch on a really good point.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool.
This conversation is fantastic, but we do have a TWAB to get into.
Ooh.
So, is there any other lore things that we want to dive into before we start talking about the solstice?
The lore of Solstice.
Yeah, like, is there any like must know right now for people? I don't know, like you said, did we miss anything headed into Shadowkeep that they should even like required listening or anything?
Can you condense that 3-hour video that you're going to make into 3 minutes?
Into just a couple sentences.
The TLDR.
I can condense it into 2 words. Moon's haunted.
Oh, it's haunted, man.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. In all seriousness, though, like, I'd say go back and look at Eris's storyline and her relationship to the Hive. Look into some of the stolen intelligence cards that mention her. Look at the Unfinal Shapes exotic ship that you can get from Eververse and the lore tab attached to that. Yeah, those are some things I'm just going to point to for people to really think about. And also do Reckoning Tier 2 and listen for the line, the Queen and her hunter send their regards. Tier 2 or Tier 3 in all fairness. And know that when the Queen and her hunter send their regards, the hunter is not Aldrin.
Oh, interesting.
The hunter is not Petra. Right? So,
it's me.
It's what?
It's future me.
Hunter
No,
mains
it's
unite.
not Teft since he's a warlock, so it's definitely not Teft.
Definitely not Teft.
Who is it, Byf? Who is it? Don't leave us on a cliffhanger. Oh
it's
my
Eris.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. Because aside from anything else, Eris's original class, despite everyone saying it's Warlock, it's not. It's Hunter. She wears the damn cloak.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
But
She
beyond
wears
just
the
that,
potato sack.
Yeah, it's all about like her entire identity, right?
that's
Because
cool.
she's always been seen as this like broken woman, this forgotten thing, and the Unfinal Shapes lore tab is all about how she's seen Mara create her Ascendant realm, and how she has this amazing moment where while she's in the service of Mara, Mara doesn't see her as this broken thing. She doesn't see her as some abomination. She sees her for what she really is, which is, according to Eris, a hunter, right? So it's just this wonderful thing of the two of them united. And also, I can't believe I'm doing this again, do your invitations of the 9. Do the invitations, because they also are the last one of them, not just the cool cutscene, but the final bit of dialogue you get from the Emissary of the 9 also mentions them, I believe, quite tangentially. You know, it says 2 women, and it basically mentions them in the first one as well, when it says one a blade forgotten, renewed, and the other an hourglass counting down with infinite patience. That's a reference to Eris and Mara. So, you know, it's talking about the future of those 2 characters. So, yeah.
I just realized that Eris is the exact opposite of Tefty.
What?
Eris is a hunter that looks pretending to be a warlock, and Tefty is a warlock pretending to be a hunter. Unbelievable.
Totally, totally true.
I swear.
He's speechless. He got
This
it.
podcast,
Clearly,
man.
he's been got, my dude. Clearly, we've
I'm
got
so
him.
done.
It's perfect. Oh, man. It's exciting. Yeah, maybe now that we know that Byf is completely insane, by the way, unbelievable how much is in your mind. Like, I keep thinking that there's like on your wall.
This?
I'm like, do you have all this on your wall that you're glancing at them for these lines? It's incredible, dude.
I mean, I could
it's
turn
incredible.
the whiteboard over again.
Well, the whiteboard's right,
revealing
but
all the
on top of
velour
your head.
secrets.
It's unreal, dude. The skill.
I could joke, but there is actually Eris scrawlings on the whiteboard where I was plotting down all of that lore, so that's fine.
That's how I imagined your day going, so I'm glad that it's true.
Yes.
Makes me happy.
You used to have a chalkboard for all of that. It's not very good, sadly. Chalk
Yeah,
is
the whiteboard's
great,
better.
but it's not all it's hyped up to be.
Mm.
So, yeah,
You can
whiteboard's
write on the pavement with it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, hopscotch.
It's kind of cool.
You can, yeah, hopscotch, exactly.
That's true.
It's great until you get the like Oh god, you know that sound that you get when chalk
Yeah, I can't
gets
do
to
it.
a certain
Oh.
angle, and then
Why'd you have
I
to
can't
talk
even
about
use
the
it in
sound?
the first place. I
Oh.
already can't even use it.
It's the
See,
worst.
and then in
Never
like a
mind.
whiteboard makes that really nice, that squeak, that
Yeah.
you know, the whiteboard, you know,
Whiteboard
like
is-
it's so
yeah,
nice.
It's perfect.
Chalk has problems, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God we moved on from chalk.
And it gets a stain
Yeah.
on the carpet, and you're like, oh god, I gotta get rid of that.
Yeah.
Chalk.
I have a feeling chalk is better for the environment though than the whiteboard stuff.
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
The fumes. Yeah, that's a good
'Cause
point.
chalk,
Yeah.
I mean, chalk is just
Yeah, but you can't get high off of chalk.
stone.
There it is.
Oh man.
All right. Should we get into the moments or the TWAB? What do you
TWAB,
Yeah, let's do
man.
it.
What's going on with the TWAB? This week at Bungie. I don't have it up. Somebody else has to read it.
This is Brian's show.
Brian, this is your job, dude.
Uh,
You're back just because we like had
Yeah.
Briar baby back. What was it? Baby back.
Braised baby back briar.
Braised.
Braised
baby back.
barbecue baby back briar.
Yeah.
Right.
That sounds
Delicious.
It was good. I don't know how you're here today.
Just falls right off the bone.
Cooked it for 24 hours, man. Low heat.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do first? The
Throw
Solstice
that
of
in the
Heroes
smoker.
stuff, or
Probably the TWAB
TWAB?
first.
All right. So the TWAB references the new Solstice of Heroes announcement. It also kind of goes over the commemorative emblems and banners that we'll get for having competed in Laser Tag Weekend with the Prometheus lens last
That
year.
emblem is so good.
I love that emblem.
It's amazing.
It's so funny.
It's like a melting skull with a good beam going through the
It's
forehead.
so
It is
good.
awesome.
It's beautiful.
And like everybody who was around that weekend gets it. So we're
Well,
good to go.
If you played Curse of Osiris times, that's the reward.
Yeah. So here's my question.
Mhm.
Wasn't laser tag out for like a couple weeks?
I think it was just one weekend.
It was
a-
one
yeah, it was
weekend.
just
They
one
fixed
weekend.
it
Was
fast.
trials.
Was it really just 1 week?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
they
a-
fixed
it was
it
a
super
very
quick.
quick
Insane.
patch.
So the only day I played was after we did the raid. We played Trials of the Nine.
Yeah.
And that's the like thank God we played Trials of the Nine because I didn't play for the rest of the week.
I believe I was there.
So
Yeah, you were
for those that-
actually.
Yeah.
I looked at
thank
the
you.
game. Yeah. hmm
I was there because a friend of mine actually got it before Zur sold it. And
Oh.
he, for the first time in his Crucible career ever, was going on like crazy streaks. And I just sat there and thought, this right here, man, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about BS RNG, man. It's not fair.
Yeah. So for those who don't remember, just in case, like the Prometheus lens was like crazy overpowered, and everybody was just using it in the Crucible. So they just said we can't fix it, so have fun this weekend, and like everybody embraced it. It was
And gave it to
insane.
Zur that weekend
Yeah.
as well. So
Yep.
Oh, and that's right.
everybody
They
got it.
so that's right. Zur everybody could pick it up. So it just became insane. But it was actually, it turned out, I thought it was a lot of fun at the time. For a while, I didn't want to like do that forever, but I was like, this always
Yeah.
shows the potential to have like weapon only modes, and I know you can do some certain things in private match and stuff. But I'd love to see
Yeah.
this embrace more. But I was gonna say, for those that are just listening, if you haven't looked, go look. But the emblem is a melting, overheated skull. It's literally melting like candle wax with a laser shot right through the center above the eyes into the forehead.
It's so good.
And
It
it's
is a very good
amazing.
looking emblem.
Yeah.
Just on like
Yeah.
a nice, clean, like kind of black, purplish background that's like.
And not
glowing a
everyone's
little
gonna
around
have
stuff.
it, you know? This is
Yeah.
like a
Right.
limited thing
It's
that
so
you have to
neat.
be during that time. It's
Yeah, you had to have played a Crucible match.
Yeah.
4 days. It's so from the 8th to the 12th of December, 2017.
2 years ago.
One Crucible match is what gets it. And if you didn't do it, you don't get the emblem for
You
it.
don't get the emblem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The Lord of
Prismatic
Wolves one
Inferno.
isn't too bad either. It's got
It's pretty
like
cool. I
things
like
that
it.
are, like,
It's
kind
got,
of two
like, the
Lord of
fallen
Wolves
guy.
in a V. Yeah, and a fallen
Mm.
guy, kind of fallen helmet. It's not nearly as good.
It's not nearly as cool, but it's cool.
I mean,
But I
you know,
love-
speak for yourselves. I love the kind of like heraldry and iconography that Destiny's emblems bring forward, and this is a prime example of it. Love it, dude.
It's
phenomenal.
no, it is nice, but you know, it's brown, and the other one has a melting skull with a laser through its forehead.
I mean,
let's
that's
be
yeah.
real.
It is
Yeah.
kind of like, hey, we took chocolate sauce and just like stamped it on like a waffle maker, and that's the background for the emblem. You know?
Finally, an honest Byf. He's a. Let me be serious for the heraldry of it. Okay, it's chocolate sauce. Let's be
Chocolate
honest.
sauce spilled on a waffle maker, man. What do you want from me? Like, you know.
It actually
I
does.
predict-
Look, to the designers, it does look nice.
I
It's
predict
just
it's
now
getting a lot
unmatched.
harder to find your friends on your friend list because everybody's going to be rocking Laser Skull.
Oh,
Like,
assuming they played.
that's so cool.
yeah.
That's
Dude,
the
it's
thing.
gonna be,
Maybe
it's gonna
they
be like the
didn't
week
touch
after a
Crucible?
raid.
Yeah, maybe
It's
they
gonna be like everyone's wearing their raid emblem.
yeah, maybe they switched
totally.
from console to PC after in like 2018, you know?
That was
Ouch.
my worry at the time. I was like, wait, when was this? Did this happen like before October 26th or whatever
Oh,
the day
so
was?
Watts, does this factor into your am I going to keep my PS4 or my
I'm pretty sure I
PC?
played Trials on PC.
Yeah. No, you did. Because it was
During Laser
it was
Day.
Breyer, myself, you, and Holtz.
I remember.
Yeah.
Holtz was drawing penises on the wall.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I forgot. That's
Now
right.
you remember. Hey.
Yeah.
We played a whole
That's
card.
right.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah.
Didn't he also inform us he does that with his audio wave recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
He has a
What,
certain
he does, like,
fixation
wow.
with
A
those
phallus
hot topic guys. You know?
phallic
Yeah.
sensation?
Yes.
I'm
Fixation?
actually gonna check my Audacity and see if
Fixation.
I made one
I love that sensation though. Dude.
Maybe if
Perfect.
we didn't make the tattoo a half a heart and made it a drawing of a penis, he would have got a tattoo
We
on
would
his
have
ass.
got it.
Insta.
That's right.
Insta inked right there.
Someone would have come
With a
along
dick.
and been like, "Dude, this is too good to pass up. Let's do it."
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, this has nothing to do with Destiny, but last night I finally did the phallic granite quest in Witcher 3, Briar.
Ah,
And
did you?
I found the granite penis.
Was it good?
It was
a
great.
good quest?
It was a great quest, man.
Did I build it up too much? Did I hype it
Not
up
at all,
too much?
man. Not at all.
All right, good.
Yeah, it was fantastic the whole time. So I felt like it was relevant
Nice.
with all the penis stuff.
In
Yes.
all seriousness, I did want to say I thought it was really awesome and shows the level that we're now playing at it with Bungie. I feel like everything's been firing on all cylinders, and for them to be like, "Hey, this happened with Prometheus Lens. How do we address that?" And normally, like they were so busy, I think, for a while and organizing themselves in a way that I don't think this would ever happen. And for them to be in a position where we now see them, they're like, "Yeah, design a new emblem, bring that back. We're gonna do both." That's awesome. I can't. It just gets me so excited about the future. The amount of passion and detail they are putting into the game right now, and opulence is just such a height of.
That's a real good point.
Of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
completely agree.
Yeah.
It seems simple, but it demonstrates the passion, I think.
Yeah. I'm excited about it.
Do you mind if I also just, it's a slight side point, but I know Watts and we both like had a brief Twitter conversation about this. Like I want to say it was a couple of months ago. But the fact that they're willing to show things that are works in progress now, whenever they're doing their Vidocs,
Yeah.
that's a Vidoc is so much better because of the fact that we get to see that. And it's not just because of the fact that, we get to take a little peek under the hood, but it's a show of pure confidence that the studio has. Like, I remember back in the days when you wouldn't see anything until it was finalized. And it was always a very sort of like touchy moment whenever we got to see something in advance, because it was one of these things of we don't want to like set false expectations. But the interesting thing about that is that it's also partly based on the idea of like understanding and trusting the community to not like run with that as like, well, I saw this thing do 10,000 damage in this like early shot, like it must have been nerfed. Like, no, like it's knowing that you're trusting the community with that inside look, and that you're saying like, hey, this isn't finished, and we're giving you this context, and we're showing you this because we're excited about it. And that show of trust is like a really great point for the whole kind of like communication side of things, because this is part of what like helped build that facade of the studio is silent whenever it was the sort of times of Destiny 2 year one and everyone was complaining about communication problems. And this is so it's literally night and day from where we were 2 years ago, in the most incredible of ways. I am so thrilled with it, and every single time I see them saying like, hey, this hand cannon sets you on fire right now, or no, we're not really sure what we feel about it, but we're going to tune it and it's going to get adjusted. Just hearing that little conversation meant more to me in terms of progress for what Bungie has done with like letting people see inside the works of the studio than I think has been done in years. And I just, like hats off to them, because seriously, it's a ballsy move. Quite rightly,
It is
so.
a
We
ballsy
talk about
move.
setting
It can
false
bite you in the
expectations,
ass.
but yeah.
If you look at like the reaction that Anthem's fans have when they compare what they saw in trailers compared to what they got, and they're really frustrated about it. Like it can bite you in the ass if you don't deliver. But you're confident that you are going to deliver.
And it's beyond just that too. It's the thing of like extended and continued trust, right? Because again, like whenever we see these little inside glimpses into the studio and what they're working on, and whenever we have that moment, it is Bungie saying like, hey, we trust you with this. We trust that you understand this is work in progress. It, at that point, stops being their game or like our game as a community of players, and it becomes our game collectively as everyone involved in Destiny, you know? And that delivers on their promise of like, you know, there are only two groups of people that will ever influence Destiny's decision making from now on, and that's both the devs and the players, you know? Like, yeah. Sorry to larp on about that, but honestly, I do feel like it's a small thing, but it means so much more than what it was said.
It means a huge amount
it's a big deal.
for dedicated players, for people who are more than just like jumping in a few days for the release day or a few moments during the release. Like for people who are playing the game as like a hobby, it goes a long way for them to invite us in and show those aspects. I personally love it. You know, it makes me excited to see what they're working on, what they're tinkering with, because
it's fun to get into a fire team and everybody's excited about like a little clip in the trailer that they saw and like what that could mean in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah,
I gotta say though, I know that Jason Schreier's in like crunch mode for his new book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels 2.
Oh yeah,
and I'm really looking forward to seeing the Destiny 2 chapter in that. Like I'm really looking.
Did he
forward
confirm
to
he's
that.
got a Destiny 2 chapter?
No.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he didn't get anything. Maybe they're not willing to talk. I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, I'm assuming Blood, Sweat, and Pixels from the title and from Jason Schreier's reputation is very much about the game industry and crunch as well, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's specifically, it's like 13 chapters about the development of 13 different games.
Yeah, so
it's really fascinating if you haven't read it. It's like, it's amazing. Like some of the games never came out, but he's still got the chapter in there. Some of the games.
Like, the nice thing is there's an expose from Inside Bungie, which is, you know, this was an article that was like released. I want to say it was released a few years back. But the last game that the studio collectively crunched on en masse was the OG Destiny and some of the expansion releases around that. And, you know, like Luke Timmons, I believe, is the member of the studio who has basically been on this crusade to kind of kill the crunch culture that develops in the industry. And he starts, you know, he did that within Bungie. And, you know, like evidently people are going to go ahead and work really hard, but crunch is just another level of things. And from all of the kind of outsider reports that we're getting, and whilst, you know, we can never truly tell what it's like in the studio, the image that we get from inside Bungie is very much one of these things of, we're not going to push our guys and gals to the limit because that's not how things go. And that's not, you know, we don't make the best games whenever we do that, you know? And even when people are asking for a Lord of Wolves patch ASAP, you know, like it was one of these simple things of, you know, I'm really glad to a certain extent that, you know, we had people such as Cosmo and Dylan saying, you know, we'll get it to you when it's done. We won't rush this stuff out because we'll put our guys and gals in risk potentially. Like, that's a really, really strong showing. And I know people will be pissed that Lord of Wolves reigned triumphant for a few weeks longer, but at the end of the day, man, the human cost.
Doesn't it make it feel better though when you know it's coming to an end? Like when they publicly acknowledge it, yeah, we know this is a problem. We are gonna fix it. We're not fixing it today because, you know, we don't want people working 24-hour days, but we are fixing it. Like that's kind of enough. Okay, I know they're fixing it. It'll be the patch will come along, and now we've got details on that patch, so like it's just coming. Like fine. I'm fine with waiting so people don't have to, you know, never see their kids grow up. But
all the sweaty PvP rage is not enough to make me say that we should make people crunch and that it's not worth it.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
I think them acknowledging that,
mad, but, you know,
them acknowledging and putting out that notice is like gives 90% of the population what they needed to hear. It's like, okay, cool. You're aware that it's a problem and you're going to fix it at some point. And yeah, we can wait. Then you have that last like 10% of like high-end comp that's sick of Lord of Wolves, and yeah, that sucks. And unfortunately, you had to deal with it.
But you know,
you don't want the devs to burn out and then stop making the game that you're interested in playing.
It's
right?
just, you know,
and crunch is definitely it's a different thing to just working hard before release, right? Like when we say crunch, we mean like really pushing yourself, not having dinner with your family, like hardly sleeping, being stressed out. Like crunch is really bad for weeks. Just you know, maybe you do an extra 2 hours in a day to kind of finish something that's coming out in a DLC. That's much different to crunch. So crunch is a serious thing that you don't want companies to be doing.
Right.
Mhm.
Even having, like we were talking about it, I think it was in the pre-show, but even just having a weekend, like, is a big difference. You know, your mental health is super important. So I think just on that front, absolutely, you know, that they're taking care of the team. But back to Briar's point, like knowing that they're just bought in, they're like, we feel the same way you guys do. And there was a point in time when they weren't doing that, and they knew it. And they actually, whatever dance they were doing at the time with the studio as well as Activision or whatever, I remember it was really frustrating for us. This was in the Destiny 1 times, but even the beginning of Destiny 2. And I remember they finally, you know, got out of it. And how far we've come. Now I feel like, yeah, it doesn't take more than a TWAB to be like, yep, we hear you. By the way, we're getting it fixed. Oh, and by the way, we're going to give you an emblem too. So they're getting really good at it.
Yeah, that's cool.
To see. And maybe worth noting that Iron Banner, I remember asking last week, I was like, oh, do we think it's going to be bad? And I was thinking it was going to be awful. And it's got some Lord of Wolves problems, but actually it's been pretty good. It hasn't been totally toxic, at least when I was playing.
Yeah.
It hasn't been awful.
I need to jump in and play some more. Like, I've been putting it off, but only because I want to go ahead and do a few other things. I'm grinding out that 80% discount bonus for Bad Juju's Catalyst.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not spending a damn thing more than I need to until I've got that, you know?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing as well. Just waiting to get as much a discount as I get. And then at the end, I'll dump all the stuff and get it. But yeah, I'm not in a rush to get the Catalyst.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Nice.
The emblem is really cool, actually.
Snaky boy.
Speaking of Lord of Wolves, it is getting updated in was it 2.5.2, which is getting released next week. They're reducing the amount of ammo shotgun scavenger perks can give to Lord of Wolves when in the Release the Wolves state. They're decreasing the effective range of Lord of Wolves, and this decrease is more aggressive than when in the Release the Wolves state.
So I wonder if this makes people use Lord of Wolves like without holding down the button, seeing as it will have a bit more range in that.
It'll have more range when you don't hold down the button, and you'll get less ammo if you do hold down the button, right?
So it really depends, doesn't it? Because like now that it's been meta for some time due to
Did somebody switch servers?
No.
No.
No, really?
Funny. Briar, you're a little robotic, so it might be doing something in the background.
Did it auto switch?
maybe.
Yeah, might have made it.
I didn't know it could. Yeah.
Maybe
It was like, Briar's being a little spicy. He's on the East Coast. Let's change it.
It's actually it's still working. So
dude,
let's just keep rolling with it.
I can't be helping.
We're good. It was just a bit of a flicker. Everything.
So Byf, you said it depends.
So yeah, I think it really does depend, because now that Lord of Wolves has been meta for some time, I think that you're going to have some people that will use it in the 5-shot mode regardless, because it's not, it's not like a perfectly rolled Dust Rock or a really well-rolled Retold, but it's still pretty good. And I feel as though it does have kind of a place there. I don't know if it still is valid when it comes to shutting down supers. That's for someone like, say, Fallout Plays or Triple to go ahead and judge. But realistically, I think it's going to have like a small niche now that it's carved out for itself permanently. And it's not going to be like an everlasting fiefdom like Last Word has, but I think there's going to be players that use that in the same way that there are those occasional players that use like Telesto once in every while,
Love them.
I really hope come Shadowkeep that like we're not even having a conversation about which exotic to dedicate to shut down roaming supers because they're so unbelievably tanky. Because it's got to change, man. Like the bottom tree striker.
I'm sure it will.
The bottom tree striker is like a raid boss anytime they pop it.
I headshot him twice and he wasn't quite dead, so I had to tickle him with the
Yeah, it's like
headshot with a sniper twice. You should be dead.
You should be
all the way dead.
If you take a rocket directly, like boom, you got hit by a rocket, you should die from that.
Yeah.
You should be dead.
Yeah.
You see, it's why I love my box breathing though. Like it's not perfect in terms of the super shutdown game being what it is, but I love box breathing for reasons like this.
It doesn't kill all supers, though. I believe Sentinels still have like 1 HP left if you hit them with the headshot with box breathing.
I think it's that, but only if they also have like a high resilience.
Yeah.
But then again, it's a Titan, so it's gonna it's gonna have a high resilience most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really hope that come Shadowkeep. They've addressed that stuff. And like Bottom Tree Striker is probably the worst offender right now because it's just they constantly get their health back. They can wipe out a team
Get
on
it
the
on
other
the shield.
side. Yeah, and just it feels kind of mindless. When I do it, I'm like, this is silly. I'm just getting kills and getting my health back. Like that, it needs to be addressed. So hopefully they're serious about that. And the amount of heavy ammo.
I think things will change. I feel like things will change a lot in Shadowkeep. I feel like
Seems
we've
like
got
it,
a pretty
for
good
sure.
mix up with the meta. Meaning we normally get like a pretty good reset, and then it's risky, but like I don't know. Like I'm trying to remember what happened in Forsaken. Didn't they change the meta? Oh man, I'd have to go back. And...
Forsaken had a lot
I
because
mean, they
there was
changed
the
guns.
weapon loadout. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of
changed
them.
them,
They
yeah.
changed guns generally, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting Armor 2.0, so they have to change some stuff, right? Because
Yeah, just that
all of that
alone.
is changing.
That alone already will change things so much, you know. So I think it'll get a pretty big shakeup. In other words, that I hope. Yeah, to your point, like Striker should be the like last thing that we'll even have to think about by then.
Yeah.
I think the real question comes along with the idea of will they drop those changes alongside dropping elimination? Because if they drop elimination as a 3v3 like in the days of old, and then it's like, oh man, he's roaming with Arcstrider, time to shut him down with a sniper rifle. That's great. Until you realize that Arcstrider is as strong as it is, or just any roaming super for that matter, and that it is really tough to shut them down without actually just being completely destroyed. You know? So
Yeah.
I feel like they've got to do that if they're going to reintroduce and rebalance the game for elimination.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then Blade Barrage, man.
Oh man.
Blade Barrage
I'm
can be
rocking Blade
so
Barrage all the time.
Blade Barrage can be so inaccurate. It's ridiculous.
It can be.
It
yeah,
really
that-
I've
can
literally
be, yeah.
had knives like outline somebody and not kill them directly in front of me.
It's
I've
like
had-
that circus
I've had-
trick.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's like a circus
I've had
trick.
that
Exactly.
happen to me, and then I've sat there as the hunter came out of it, landed in front of me, and just took a moment, like in their head, they're just looking around, being like, "What?" And then
Yeah,
it's
ridiculous.
It's beautiful when it happens, but it's like, "Oh my god, this is not how a super should function."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what else is getting touched? Should we move on to the next stuff? Tribute Hall.
Yeah, all that stuff is boring. Let's talk about Solstice of Heroes.
Yeah.
Solstice.
Solstice.
Wait, are we
Solstice.
really skipping it?
Yeah, this is like
Well,
what?
it might be worth mentioning the Menagerie, that they're going to increase the sword drop to 100% the first time you complete the heroic Menagerie.
That's good.
And subsequent completions will have a moderate chance, 1 in 4 tries, 25% to drop a sword. So I thought
So
that
if you're
was
missing the
notable.
sword for the shadow title, I know some
Exactly.
people weren't able to farm it. You'll be able to go and get it with heroic.
first try.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Will it be the first try? I wonder if it'll be the first try starting after the patch, or if you've already used your first try, you're looking for 25%.
I'm going to assume after
Also,
the patch.
Is that account bound or character bound?
I'm assuming it's for the first time you do it that week.
I
Yeah.
would assume it's account bound because of the way the power drops work, but I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
It'll be easier to get it, like 100%.
Yeah.
All you got to do is get a team together, do it once. I mean, I think because it requires getting a team together, that's pretty important at this point. And I think it shows that not a lot of people are doing this.
People have
and
no
they're
desire
like,
to do
"All
heroic menagerie.
Yeah.
I think it's also a thing of
Imagine.
menagerie rewards maybe need to be better than just a sword at heroic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
as well.
If it-
Like maybe
That's where
getting,
you
like,
should drop the 3
2 drops.
chests. That's
Yeah,
where-
exactly.
Yep.
Mhm.
suddenly there's a reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's talk about energy orbs.
Oh man.
Good segue to
Oh,
Solstice of
boy.
Heroes.
Solstice of Heroes is coming. One of the cool features about this is that if you use a energy weapon to get kills, your enemies are going to drop orbs that are the same energy as the weapon that you used to kill them. If you collect these orbs, I think you can collect up to 30 orbs, you get an elemental buff. And the elemental buffs are pretty cool.
They are.
If you get the solar elemental buff and you equip your solar subclass,
And a solar
you
weapon.
wield, and a solar weapon, you wield the solar elemental power. While empowered, guardians emit a burning wave of energy that damages anything around them. The void one, crouch while empowered to become invisible and gain true sight plus enhanced ability regeneration.
which is silly, dude.
Yeah,
Oh, I love
Arc
it.
is while empowered, Guardians move with enhanced speed and deal greater melee and sword damage. That's the one I
like
can't
the
wait
sound
to
of that
play
one.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone trying to one floor Riven, this is your time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
This sounds super fun. Just going super fast with, more sword damage. That's just going to be fun in all game modes.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I know people were like, "Oh my god, PvP!" But guys, you have to pick up 30 orbs to activate that ability, right?
Yeah.
No.
Didn't
And they
they-
reset on death.
Didn't they mention something that's not going to actually work in PvP?
The buffs
They
will
said
not be
competitive.
active in
You can-
competitive
Or
or Gambit
competitive.
Prime.
Or
Oh,
But in-
so
but
But
regular.
you
regular
have
Crucible.
so you have to be using the subclass of the thing, right? So say it's
Yep.
void day. You have to be using a void subclass with a void gun. You have to kill people with void, and then you have to pick up a bunch of
So
orbs
hunters are
to get
fucked.
the thing. I mean, I might be totally wrong, but I feel like it's
Mhm.
not going to be something.
If you
to
get it,
worry
it'll be
about.
toward the end of the match anyway.
Like if you've won your Void Elemental buff in a quick play game, the quick play game is almost over if Shax hasn't already called it. And realistically, at that point, yeah, like no, I'm with you, man. If you earn the ability to get like invisibility and true sight just from crouching, from pressing circle on a controller, like good on you, man. Like GG, well played. I'm gonna go back and find another lobby. But
Also,
like, wow,
it's a temporary
impressive.
change to the game. It'll be over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a month, right?
I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Also, smart moves again, even if it was a problem for Crucible and stuff. Again, like we said, competitive and Gambit, it's not there. So
Yeah.
really good.
Yep.
We're also
Yeah,
getting
so if
just
you get
combat.
Competitive forehead.
If you get sick of it, just go into comp.
Yeah, just play comp.
Yeah, that fixes everything.
Just play Gambit Prime. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Combat meditations. We're getting a new game mode or a new activity called combat meditations. Even Akora have created a new ritual for you to hone your skills and take full advantage of the new elemental buffs. You'll be going to an entirely new area called the European Aerial Zone and take on Hive, Cabal, and Fallen enemies. This is a new 3-player match-made activity that can be launched from the tower or the director.
That sounds cool.
That sounds
Yeah.
cool.
I like it.
I hope they have lore on why this is a floating series of islands in the middle of the EDZ.
Space magic.
Like, there is so much
How
cool
did-
potential for that, and I hope that it isn't just something of like, hey, you know, like a thing happened and now you have floating islands, because this is so cool. Like, look at
It
this.
does look awesome. I mean, there's only
Awesome.
one picture of it,
That
but it
is
looks cool as hell.
Ikora's doing
How
it the
did
whole
they-
time with her mind, floating it as you go over there.
How did
If
they
that- if
explain
that
the
was the
Haunted
case, I'd love
Forest
that.
and what was the recent one that was based on that?
The Verdant Forest
Yes. How did they explain those?
as just like glitches within the Infinite Forest, I think.
Oh,
or
that's they
words to
just
that
use
effect.
that. There
Like
you go.
strange subroutines that you could explore or things like that. I don't know.
This, yeah, it's
Infinite
probably-
Forest is Infinite Forest, man. Like,
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like this is the EAZ now. So what does that mean? The European Aerial Zone.
as opposed to European Dead Zone, it's European Alive Zone.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
Hollywood.
there we go. Yeah,
would be good.
okay.
I first
wow.
see a lot of warlocks floofing to their doom.
Yep.
That's all for Byf.
Oh boy. Oh no.
The
Looks
goal
really cool.
in the new combat meditation is to defeat as many mini bosses as possible before time expires. When your time runs out, you'll face off against a final boss. Once the boss is defeated, you'll set across the EAZ in search of treasure chests. The more mini bosses you defeat, the more treasure will await you. That sounds cool.
Yeah, that is
You-
not
you-
cool. I
You
love
beat
that
a bunch
it's
of
like
bosses,
this
you gotta go
place.
find a bunch of chests.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So it's going to be similar to what the spring one was.
Yeah, the Verdant Forest. That's what I was
Forest.
thinking.
Yeah.
It's,
But with a slight
it's a
twist.
bit like
yeah.
it.
It's kind of like reversed, you know, like you're fighting the bosses in a more contained space by the sounds of things.
Yeah,
And then
what are the?
you go out and explore and you find the chests in this big open area. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, what are the mini bosses then? Though is that sort of just like captains and ogres?
I
and
saw
then what
a
are
wizard
bosses?
on the video. It looked really cool.
Oh, it's
wizard
it
from the
looks like the
Broodhold.
brood. Yeah, the brood
Inanan.
lady.
Yeah.
Lady brood
That looks
from
cool.
the strike you guys haven't played on PC.
Oh.
It's a really good strike, by the way.
It's really good. It's
Such a
please.
boss is a really cool idea for.
I heard it's 30 FPS. It can't be that good.
Yeah.
30 FPS and claustrophobic.
Oof. Yeah, it's good fun.
So when you open the chest, you're going to get Solstice Key fragments, which are earned by completing any activity during the Solstice of Heroes. Consider them similar to Essence of Dawning, and then you use those to open packages. Package rewards include... Are you going to get these packages from Tess? Is that what's going on here?
Ava, probably?
Ava.
I think Ava.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eva Levante.
Ava Levante.
Levante.
So you can get, in your packages, you can get rare and legendary gear, enhancement cores, materials, enhancement cores, that's nice.
Yes. Then when I read that, I was like,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Teft eyes.
Awesome.
Once you've earned legendary Solstice armor, Solstice packages will reward you with additional armor so you can hunt for roles with enhanced perks. Collecting all the Solstice legendary armor sets on all 3 classes will give you access to EV-37 Void Streak Sparrow,
Ooh.
which is
I like
a
the way
nice
that
looking
looks.
sparrow, but not
I think it looks
especially
nice.
crazy looking.
I grinded so hard last time for that ship, and I never used it.
Really?
Yes.
So wait, if you look closely though, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's got like a little glow up front coming out of like in the jets or
Yeah.
something, right? So I think that'll be like one small difference. It's
Are you
going
going to use that, or are you going to use the Bobby Sparrow?
Oh, the little
Definitely the
Bobby
Bobby
Sparrow is the best.
If
Okay.
you haven't seen pictures of this
Oh,
sparrow
yeah,
yet,
we're
it's like a
getting to that.
really short
The
sparrow.
Sea-Doo. The
If you
Sea-Doo sparrow.
haven't seen,
Yep.
okay, there's 2 things you need to check out around about that. The first is Liz's tweet about the sparrow, as in Sh55, where she calls it something entirely appropriate for what it is, but entirely inappropriate for a
Oh, no.
podcast.
No.
It can't be that appropriate.
Looking
This is
now.
DCP.
It's something like
Looking.
Choda McChodasfin or something like that. Yep. Something along those lines. And then also check out Triple Rex tweet about
Yes. His
Because
meme
it's-
about
It's gold. It's
when
so
you saw
good.
the blue wave race looking one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really
There's
fun.
also one that looks kind of like a wooden boat from the 1930s that I actually really like.
I think
it
it
looks
looks really
completely different from any other sparrow. It really does look like a
The summer solstice, man.
it really does look like a boat, and I see myself cruising around this a little slower than every other sparrow. I want this to be like a 110 speed sparrow.
It's
Wow.
really
Hey, wow.
Taking some time, taking my sweet ass time, cruising around in my wooden boat sparrow.
I want to know what the the flame or whatever behind it looks like. Like, do they just sort of keep? I guess they'd have
Propellers.
to keep.
That should be a weight.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be cool if it was like a ripple or something at least.
Yeah.
But
The armor looks amazing. The armor
the
starts
ornaments
off.
this
so
time
good.
around. Whew.
Yeah, the armor starts
Whoa,
off looking like the base
whoa.
armor from Destiny 2, like your very earliest armor.
yeah, drained.
Yeah, and then as you upgrade it, like it turns gold and has filigree and it's kind of like a white, black, and gold.
It's yeah. It's a
setup.
little.
And then
like
the ornaments
last year,
are
I think, but
crazy.
It's
Yeah.
really nice. Yeah. It's all
The
gold.
ornaments, I
A
think,
lot of it.
really make it pop.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not even just the ornaments, it's also the fact that those ornaments they stay permanently like previously, but now they actually do look phenomenal. And there are slight variations to each of the pieces, so there's a lot
Yeah.
more detail to each of them. Like
Yeah, there's-
previous Solstice gear for my Warlock, I was okay with it. This is my new set now. I'm gonna
Yeah.
run with this, and we're gonna, even though 2.0 is coming out, I'm gonna get some great perks on
Well,
this.
I don't see it here, but didn't they say somewhere that? Oh, here it is.
The extras.
Whatever
thing?
full legendary sets you earn now will have their new Armor 2.0 versions waiting for you to pick up at the gunsmith when
Yeah.
Shadowkeep awaits.
That's the big.
So-
Disclaimer: that's only for the Solstice armor sets. So
Right.
any Solstice armor that you
Yes.
get, you can pick up, but
Well, that's great
not any
because
others.
like it's not going to just get left behind like it did last
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these look so freaking good. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I never want to
think,
use another set. This is the one.
I know. That's what. It's gonna be worth it, man. And plus,
Mhm.
break out your wallets if you don't have enough bright dust, because you'll be able to buy those glowing
Those
ornaments,
glows.
right? In the Eververse.
year. Oh, really?
Yeah. Should we read through the
Are
extras
they
section?
only available through the Eververse?
Yeah. I
I
believe
didn't
so.
actually see
With
that.
dust.
Yeah, it's the extra
Yes.
section if you want to jump to that, Briar.
As with most
Right.
events, there will also be a new offering from the Eververse store. There won't be an event engram this year. Instead, every single item will be available for direct purchase using silver and bright dust. All Eververse items will be available for bright dust at some point during the weekend. Armor glows
During the event. You said
During the
weekend.
event, my bad.
Just making
Yes.
sure listeners
You're
were
right.
not gonna, okay.
Armor glows will be available for you to add to your Solstice of Hero armor set. They will also show up on any version of the set to provide Guardians with an enhanced look.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to upgrade your armor set all the way to get the glow.
Mm-hmm.
Armor glows will shine brightest when your subclass element aligns with the element of the glow. You'll also be able to purchase entire sets for either silver or bright dust. Armor glows will remain available for use after the Solstice of Heroes event ends.
Yeah. So that's cool. But
can you not earn armor glows? The only way you can get them is through Eververse.
That's what it sounds like.
yeah, you need bright dust. I mean, I think that's what I was trying to remember about last year is if the engram, because they had an engram last year, right? And
Yeah.
I was
And
trying
you
to
could
remember if
technically
it
get them through those.
you could, right? I thought you could. I'm sure. Let us know in chat because there's a lot of smart people in there. But yeah, I think you could earn them before. So that's one big change. But I think they're banking on the fact that a lot of people who are playing have bright dust.
A ton of bright dust.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
trying
I'll
to
tell you,
hold
it's
on to
going to
it.
go super fast if you're trying to buy it for all pieces, all characters. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
on the plus side, I do feel like this is a positive. It's pure cosmetic. The armor already looks amazing. But if you want the ornaments, it fits in pretty well. You can just bust out your wallet and buy an entire set in one pick. Where last year, if I recall, you had to like wait and you were like buying the types of ornament, the solar, the void, and you'd have to wait until they were in stock and like if you didn't already earn them. And so it'll be a lot easier this year.
And it's worth noting that everything will be purchasable with the bright dust, so it's not going to be anything that you have to use silver on. They specifically did say that sometime within the event you will be able to buy everything for bright dust. So
I feel like I'm going
That's
bright
good,
dust
at
broke.
oh, that's what they're trying to get you to do.
Yeah, they're trying to just get you.
We're not
And
Painful, man.
there's no reason to save it now. So
what people should do is they should pick up some of their Eververse bounties, which award you bright dust anyway.
Yep.
That's true.
Ooh.
Start
I
doing
always
those.
forget to, but there's no reason not just to.
Yeah.
They're such easy bounties. You
They're
get your
super
Ikora
easy.
one done
I always
real
forget
quick.
that.
Get that challenge.
Yeah,
That's a
stuff,
good
man.
tip, actually. I always forget those.
just buy bounties. Forehead.
Don't neglect your bright dust. Useful for buying all the pretty stuff.
Is that it? Is there anything else we want to talk about here?
The ghosts, the beach ball.
Oh,
ghosts.
Beach Ball Ghost looks amazing. I want that.
Beach Ball Ghost does look great.
Yep.
I like
It
that
is.
one.
Ballin'.
Yeah, it's like slightly transparent beach ball with a ghost inside.
Yeah.
Yellow, red, and blue stripes on it. But the ghost that's floating on the little like life
The Lilo ghost.
tube. Yeah, that one's really awesome. What is the one that's on the left? Is that like one? Yeah, it's one piece of a sunglass.
It's
Yeah,
a,
it's a-
oh my god, that's great.
It's a sunglass monocle, I guess. That's awesome. Those are really fun.
Yeah, those are good.
Then you got your wave rider, or what is this thing? Yeah, it's basically a jet ski, you know?
It looks ridiculous
It's so funny.
in all the right ways.
Yeah.
I love that they chose a Titan riding that because take a
Yeah.
look at just the knees.
I was
Yeah.
about to bring that up. He's so cramped on there. It's
He's
perfect.
cramped.
It's really
It looks-
smart. He barely fits on it.
It's like
really
an adult riding a mini bike, you know? Like
100%.
It's like-
Shouldn't
it's
be
like-
wearing. Yeah,
It's like when I try and go in an airplane.
it's gonna be
a lot of flavor.
hilarious to see these riding around. Like
Yeah.
I really do want to earn this because to have that going forward. Oh yeah, this one's gonna be a funny treat. Like people who weren't playing, you know, that might bring in a new audience will be like, wait, what are you riding right now? This
Yeah.
one in particular, I think you're gonna look ridiculous on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's great.
I want you to imagine the day you ride up to somebody with this. Sparrow horns have been brought back, and then you just beeps with some ridiculous horn twice and say, "Get on!" And it's just like, what? What do you mean, get on? What are you riding? What? Perfect, dude. Oh, this is
It's
fantastic.
exciting. It's a nice lineup, and Crazy to think that there's less than 2 months left till Shadowkeep.
It's coming on up.
Almost there.
Yeah, one more month.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
Actually, a month and a half is what we have, because we have another month, then we hit September, and then it's the storm of games. We'll be in the middle.
Oh boy. I choose not to celebrate
Storm
August.
of games. Yeah.
We're going to be in the eye of the storm of games in mid-September.
We are going to be in the eye of the storm.
There are so many. Oh my lord.
Yeah.
If this counter I found is correct, it's 52 days and 21 hours away as of recording. It sounds right.
That does. Yes.
This September is, I mean, this is something we're constantly talking about, but this September is just going to be crazy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's bananas.
Yep. Anything else?
You guys want to do some Twitter questions?
Let's do it.
Sure.
All right.
Do it.
Hero Time 39 says, if someone new wanted to understand the background story of Destiny, what are some key pillars of lore you'd like them to know and why?
Oh, okay. That's a really good one. I would start off taking a look into when the Traveler arrived and sort of the origins of the Golden Age and how it led to the collapse. So there's some grimmer on that here and there. That's really quite nice. To understand the foundations of the world, it's a long read, but I'd really look into the Mara Senna to understand the origins of the Awoken, at least the first few books, because that gives you the basic foundation of how all the Awoken changed from human beings into the Awoken. And then beyond just that, I think you've got to take a look into some of the principal ideas behind the enemies. So take a look into some of the Varric stuff or some of the stuff from House of Wolves to understand the Fallen. Take a look into Books of Sorrow a little bit for the Hive. The Callas stuff and anything to do with the Midnight Coup gives you a great understanding of their homeworld, their society. And then, yeah, with the Vex, I don't even know where you start with them, but I think you probably want to go back and take a look at the Vault of Glass.
Here's what you do.
Really
Here's what you do. You go to MyNameIsByf's channel. You hit all videos, scroll down to about 2014, and hit play.
That's how
So,
you do it.
do you mind if I make a very cheeky plug here? Because this is
please do.
exceedingly cheeky.
Of course.
So back in 2017, I made like an 1.5 hour long video, which was covering all of the story of Destiny from when the Traveler arrives up until the launch of Destiny 2. I am, at the end of the summer, endeavoring to make a 3-hour version of that covers everything. So if
you're
that's
gonna
a question,
reprise the first hour and a half.
I'm gonna do all of it, and I'm gonna make it fresh, and nothing is gonna be reused because there's
Sounds
new
amazing.
context for things.
Wow,
And
nice.
yeah, updated
Wow,
lore.
that's big.
Can you have an intermission around an hour and a half? I usually have to pee.
Oh,
by
dude.
then.
So the idea is actually that I'm going to break it more cohesively into different segments. And that's great because it means that I can then like give people these natural stopping points whenever they need to just take a break, because 3 hours of video is going to be huge. And the nice thing too is we can leave timestamps for everybody. So
Yeah,
if
YouTube
you want to
sucks
watch it as a
too
marathon,
with long
do it.
videos because they don't remember where you left off. If the
yeah.
it's not like Netflix where okay, I needed to take a break, but Netflix remembers where you left off.
I think
It
that
doesn't do that.
depends on your player, because for me, it always remembers where I'm at in the browser.
Yeah, mine does.
Yeah. mine
Really?
does.
Yeah.
Mine
Yeah, I
does.
was gonna say it remembers for me. I didn't know if it
Briar's
was a
like,
long
it's all
video issue.
broken.
Have you updated your app?
Just
in,
your
like, the last few
YouTube
years?
is broken. What? No.
My- look,
Your YouTube
My
ain't
iPhone
working for me.
3G works just fine. I don't need to upgrade. My Motorola Razr is still working just fine.
Your N-Gage. Just your N-Gage. Oh, well.
Look,
I don't know
if
why.
I can talk to you on a dial-up modem, why should I upgrade?
That's right.
That sounds like that's a perfect Briar impersonation.
Protheon says, how many states from the United States can Byf name without looking them up?
Okay, so this one, context. I
More than
studied
me, I bet.
politics of the states for my degree. So I'm trying to remember this, because if I had like a map that was blank,
No,
I could
that's
probably
the-
do most of
Sure.
them.
That's
Like not with the
That's
states
cheating.
named on them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
just
Starting
names.
from West Coast.
Yes. Best
Hawaii,
Coast.
Alaska, Washington, Oregon, California. Idaho, Utah, Arizona, Montana,
He's doing
New
really
Mexico,
good so far.
Texas.
Wow.
There you go. This is the tough one.
Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, Florida,
Florida
West
doesn't count.
Virginia, Carolina, North Carolina and South Carolina.
This is incredible, to be quite honest.
Maine, Vermont. What's the one next to Vermont? New Hampshire.
Wow.
New Jersey, New York, Delaware, and Maryland. I don't know if we're not counting DC because that's a separate thing. It's a city. It's not a state. Pennsylvania. I can forget Pennsylvania. Connecticut.
Yeah.
Illinois. Indiana.
State.
I'm missing a whole bunch of the ones in the middle. I'm missing a whole bunch. North and South Dakota. There we go.
Yep. Fargo.
Fuck the Dakotas.
Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Yep.
There you go.
Gosh.
There's a
you
whole
almost got
bunch
them
somewhere
all.
in the middle that I'm missing.
No, you almost have them all, dude.
Yeah.
Iowa? I think I'm missing Iowa.
You just nailed that. I think you got everything on that. Oh, no, there's one on that side. I think.
Couple on the.
Couple somewhere in the middle, surely.
Dude, this is better than I
I'm
can
missing.
do.
I'm missing. a few.
That's very
It's really
impressive.
good. It's really good, Byf.
Thank you.
Really good. You named my home state, Illinois, so I'm very happy.
Hey, nice. Illinois is wonderful. Got a couple of friends over in Chicago. Yeah, it's all
Chicago
good.
area.
Nick Stinziani says, "How much bright dust does everyone have?"
I don't know now because I spent
pull
a
up
little
Dim.
bit.
Beginning of the season, I had about 30,000. I'm down to 11,000.
I have 500 items in the vault. I got 20 in each postmaster. I got 100 on each character. So I'm not sure what my
Not all those
total
turn into bright
is.
dust, though.
A lot of
that's
them
true.
do.
That's a
though.
good point. I got a bunch of like, sparrows and ships. Actually, I guess not a ton.
I don't know. A decent
I
amount,
was-
I'd say.
Where do I find it in dim? Nah. I thought I had it in front of me. Anyway, I don't have. I saw somebody. Did somebody have 200,000 that Sean, Mesa Sean like retweeted today? I think they did. They had 200,000 or something like
Wow.
insane like that. So I don't have anywhere near that.
So before Season of Opulence started, I had 84, I think. Now I'm at about 60.
1,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
84 bright dust.
Yeah.
84.
wanna
Hey,
make
just
sure.
84.
I thought.
Just
I was
84.
like, just
There's
84.
one sparrow you get rid
Just
of. It's
84.
kind of bad and gives you 84. It's the only thing.
Yeah. Nah, I basically, when I realized I could spend bright dust on a whole bunch of stuff, I was like, yes, please. I will buy all of this. And then I bought a ton of shaders, and then Luke Smith announced the thing about shaders, and I was like, damn it. God damn it.
Which is another good
You see this-
reminder for anybody listening right now. Make sure you delete all of your Eververse items that you don't want to keep, because post Shadowkeep, they will not dismantle into Bright Dust anymore, and there will be things you can buy for Bright Dust in Shadowkeep. So you want to get rid of all your shaders, all your Eververse items. You will be able to buy them back in Shadowkeep, but you won't be able to get dust for them post Shadowkeep. So you might be sitting on a few thousand or 20,000.
Oh
dust.
wait, that's right.
Yeah.
I had it back. I'm glad you reminded me, because I was thinking I had it right. Obviously, the first time you want to save your bright dust,
Yes.
but you don't want to sit on anything that needs to be
Yeah.
shredded and dismantled.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was out here. I bought a couple things. I'm like, all right. Now I got it straight. Save your bright dust. Shred anything that could turn into it.
Yeah.
Yes, because you're going to be getting legendary shards when you delete Eververse stuff, and you don't want something to pop up in the store, and you're like, oh, I can't afford that.
Yep.
Yeah. So you'll be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can. You just got to use real money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
more
wait,
reason
yeah.
to, you know.
Yeah.
You're getting rid of shaders, emblems, ships, ghosts.
Yeah. During season
Yeah,
of
Monster
Monster Hunter
Hunter
World,
World.
I basically got hit pretty hard on that dust grind. I feel like a lot of people skyrocketed in dust because that was, the only thing to do was to dismantle things from Eververse during that season.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's as a kind of like general rule of thumb. Like, I don't know, man. I'm very much one for the idea. I think it was Paul Tassi who coined the term "tip your dev," which I kind of love. So whenever the like the Whisper ornaments, for example, whenever they came out, or the Outbreak ornaments came out, or the Bad Juju ones, like I'm always dropping silver for those, which means inevitably in the process of things, like, you know, you're going to buy silver, you're going to get some stuff, but, you know, sometimes you go ahead and buy some engrams. So, like, yeah, occasionally Bright Dust does accumulate, you know.
Yeah.
My attitude to these things has changed a little bit at certain points, but yeah, I won't tell of the event that sparked things because, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Keeping things friendly. So,
David,
yeah.
I mean, it's a lot easier to spend money now that you actually know what you're getting as opposed to opening a loot box.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a great.
It'd still be. I just think it'd be way fucking cooler if I could earn the trial or the Solstice of Heroes. You know, flare. What was it called?
Ornaments, flare, gold,
the ornaments,
glow
Like if
ornaments.
I can earn those, I think it'd be way cooler. But you know, I understand everybody's got to make a buck.
Yeah.
At least it doesn't seem as predatory now that it's.
Well, they nailed it
not
with the
a-
beach ball stuff and like the jet ski sea-doo looking thing. Like that's perfect. That's exactly what I want from Eververse. I don't want to see an Iron Banner related emote from Eververse because it's lore and it's in the game, and that
we should go ahead and know that from Iron Banner.
Yeah,
that I agree with.
Yeah, we've gone down that so many times. Yeah.
David Joseph says, if you could have the real, true answer to anything in Destiny lore, what question would you ask?
How do we kill Savathun?
Ooh.
That's how. That's what I'd want.
Wow.
You know
That's
why?
definitely not my answer.
Because let me tell you something. Holy Lord. I don't know how we tackle Savathun as a topic in Destiny. We need a genius to kind of come along with us for that. Because here's the thing. Every single time we read something about Savathun, nothing is really completely confirmed. Or what is confirmed is that she's just toying with us. And at this point, I'm sitting here being like, how powerful really is she? And I'm really kind of like, you know, the principle that at some point we need to go ahead and face Savathun is one of these things of like, okay, cool, so I'll just outsmart Loki, right? Like that's going to work. That's totally going to work. Like, you know, she's the definition of plans within plans. She's brilliantly written for any instances where she is written about. But then beyond just that, the instances where she's written about, it's all traps. It's like, okay, perfect example, Truth to Power, right? Truth to Power is a really awesome lore book in terms of what it talks about, because it goes over a whole bunch of ideas and theory, but it all takes place inside a massive hallucination from about halfway through the book. So you don't know if any of this stuff that you're hearing or reading about is true or whether it's deliberately being planted there to give you misinformation, right? And this just feeds into that entire side of everything of it's like Savathun and her agents, like her daughter Dulinkaru, they're all so good at this entire point of deception to the max. And it's so freaking hard to know how you make any progress against a villain like that.
Her raid is going to be good.
I mean, you know, here's the thing, you know, like I sit here and I'm like, even if we do a raid, can we be sure that we've killed her? Because I don't know, like faking your own death seems like a really classic trope for a god of trickery, you know?
That's very true.
I almost want to say the safer move is to just capture and contain Savathun so that we can just like know and we can understand, and so that we can contain her and not have to worry about the idea of, well, is she really dead? Because at least this way we'd have some kind of conception. I don't know, like, yeah, it's weird. But like I said, all the writing around Savathun is a bunch of mental traps, and that's phenomenal. It's fantastic. So if I could know the real way to kill Savathun, please, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, because there's no way it's as simple at this point as kill her within her own ascendant realm. Like, nah, I don't buy that for one second. You know, she's probably got a mechanism in place of some kind that's like, you know, preventing her from dying. So yeah, that's my one.
That's a good one.
Well, so you got a question that you'd like to see answered?
Okay.
I would like to know what the flavor is when warlocks devour their own nade. What type of
It's
taste?
obviously grape. It's purple, man.
You don't know that.
Blueberry.
It's not written in the lore.
It's blueberry.
It's purple.
Clearly blueberry.
It's not written in the lore. What is the
It's
void?
purple.
What does the void actually taste
Roseberry.
like? When you
Nothing.
stare into the void and it talks back, what does it taste like?
What's purple that doesn't taste like grape?
I feel like there's a lot of things.
Carrots were originally
Cough syrup.
purple.
Yeah,
Yep.
purple carrots, man.
Beets.
They taste like carrots.
Mm.
A lot of
Beets
things,
don't
actually.
taste
Purple carrots. They
Oh,
changed.
beets.
They literally
Beets, man.
changed the color of carrots because it didn't taste like grapes, so they had to change it.
Mm.
Beets are not purple. They're like reddish.
Egg.
Yeah, beets are purple. Totally how it works.
That's mine. Anybody else?
Nope.
No? I want to know what the
Try to blank.
darkness is, right? It's like in Destiny 1, the
Sure.
darkness seemed to be this like, this like force. And then in Destiny 2, they said they were just going to get rid of it. And now it seems like it's back. I just want to know what the hell it is. Is it a being? Is it a force of nature? Like what the heck is it? I can't wait to
Yeah.
find that out. If we ever do.
Mm.
Fran?
No,
I got one for you, Fran. I got one for you. Here.
Oh, okay.
Fran's question would be, why do warlocks smell so bad?
why is that my question?
Because you didn't have one. I'm helping you out.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I thought it
giving
was like
you.
referential. It's just literally as punishment. For
No, this is lore stuff. It's not, they don't explain when they drop their well and they're covered in the divine piss. They're like they don't explain the smell.
I beg your pardon. Oh wait,
Wow.
technically meant to
Just,
tighten it
you know.
until
Yeah,
a second. Yeah, no, it's divine piss. Yeah.
it weeps divine piss, and then they smell bad. So they have to explain why it smell bad. Like what's the reasoning?
They stole
Solid
it from
ass. I just switched to the PC, and keyboard and mouse is kind of hard. Any tips y'all can give to help adjusting? We've answered this before.
Yes.
Anybody got anything new?
You gotta get good.
I'm gonna jump in here because I get good. God, this guy's so toxic.
Look at this
Toxic
guy.
Teft, dude.
Jeez.
We're gonna call you Toxie Talk. I don't know. That's terrible. I was gonna say between games and like frame rates and hertz and everything, I don't know. I'm not a really good PvP player, but I felt like I was getting better on console and Trials because it was consistent. But long story short, I would say take the time. Number one, make sure your frames are running at least 60 and do anything you can to make sure that it's running.
Yeah.
It's funny. I say this as someone who was pretty focused on it for a while, and then like I had so many problems with my computer. Got to the point that I was like, I put all the settings on low, and I didn't realize Tef just experienced this. He rated me the other day. Thank you, by the way. Came in and I just had fixed it, and I was like, wait, borderless windowed. It's like causing this issue. My frames were all over the place between 30 to 60, but I thought it was like an update, or I didn't even know at that point because I'm encoding on the same machine. Anyway, long story short, make sure you get at least 60 frames. If you can go higher, do it. But then actually do spend time trying, say, DPI that might be 700, but then go up to sensitivity 6 or go even lower. Just try it and see. Take that moment before you get into too many games is what my advice would be. And you can even look up, some people have recommendations. I don't know if that's
I can also talk
take
about
the time is my point.
Yeah.
Don't assume.
My journey with the DPI stuff too. I started higher in the DPI scale, like 1600, and I think around 10 or 12 in game, which is pretty high. Mostly wristing.
You were 1600 plus 10 sensitivity.
When I started.
Wow.
In
That is
Destiny.
crazy.
That's
Yeah,
super
I play
fast.
like 750 and pretty low.
Well, now
Yeah, I'm doing about 750 and like 6 right now.
so that's when I started in 2017. Now I'm at 400 DPI and 7 in game. So
Interesting.
like
That sounds, but there you go. Like you refined.
Yeah, over time I would drop it, and I noticed when I dropped it too low, it would feel really awkward. So I'd bump it back up a bit to try to like counterbalance, and then it would even out. Because I think if you go high DPI and then suddenly drop low DPI, it's going to throw you off so much that you're going to be really uncomfortable and get annoyed. So
It's a good
stepping
point.
down
Like
is a good thing to do.
Yeah, like don't go all over the place. That's a good point. Like start somewhere and refine it. And that you don't have to like try everything, but start somewhere and refine it. And then also, what is that one setting? It's not auto aim on PC. What is it called? It's the one where your mouse
Aimbot.exe?
accelerates. No.
Oh yeah, mouse acceleration.
Yeah, but it's not called that. Look, it's something that you don't want on that your mouse accelerates.
Mouse smoothing or something like that.
Yeah,
smoothing.
turn that off. Yeah,
Turn that crap off.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully that
So
helps.
I have no input on this conversation, and I'm gonna have to go down your journey, sir, because I use one of these.
On
Yeah,
PC,
well,
though,
that's-
right?
No, I am on
Oh, you're on
PlayStation
console.
4. I gotta get that veteran dialogue, dude.
Ah.
right.
Not to mention,
That's true.
It's
That
all
is-
about like the exclusives up until Shadowkeep when I'm switching because hallelujah, cross save is a thing.
Yeah.
Coming to
So
PC.
good.
Yeah.
Real excited.
Also,
But that is true. You can totally use a controller on the PC. And
Yeah,
it's-
100%.
You can too.
completely serviceable.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it
Unless
really
you're
does
trying to
be
be in tournaments, like you'll be fine.
yeah, and you
Even-
some
you
really
know-
good PvP players out there that are on controller still.
yeah,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're really good at
Like-
PvP on console, chances are you're going to be good at PvP on PC as well with the controller. So
Yeah.
don't let that don't put any kind of fear in there. I do want to follow up though on what Fran was talking about with the full screen window and all that stuff. Like that is
Borderless, yeah.
really important, because if you are trying to have like the best frames possible, you want to go full screen, because like the game just works the best in complete full screen if you're uncapping it and going above 60. Also, I think part of what you were saying, Fran, is that when you clicked out of the window to adjust things like dim
I didn't
and all
have that
that.
problem actually, but I know what you're getting at.
Well, you said it would drop to 30.
No, I was just having an issue that on borderless windowed full screen, that one.
Yeah,
Which
window
I
full
thought,
screen.
oh, because they introduced some new stuff after it launched. And anyway, I thought it was working fine at long story. It was like bouncing between, 30-ish to 60-ish, but it was all over the place. And I just sort of like
So
turned
that's
everything on
that's
low
your
and got-
VSync trying to keep up, and it would have the frame rate as soon as it was having a tough time struggle or keeping 60. And there's also times when it loses focus on your computer, it automatically cuts it down to 30 FPS when you're in dim, and then if you forget to put it back, which if you're on mouse and keyboard, that's not going to be a problem. So that's besides the fact.
But yeah, exactly. I was clicking on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But anyway, those things, like you're saying, just make sure to do full screen if you can is the point. I'm streaming on the same machine, so it's actually a problem for me. When I accidentally hit Alt Tab and everything's like broosh, but whatever.
Yeah.
Personal
So
problems.
full screen if you can. Don't do VSync. Just go as high FPS
Do
as
a
possible,
frame cap if you need
because
to.
VSync does introduce some input delay.
Lag.
But yeah.
So does like G-Sync and
Yep.
AMD's FreeSync. I mean, there is some delay there.
Yep. Yeah. Check your.
So
card
you
settings,
turning
too.
all that off? Is that what you guys doing? No
If you
G-Sync,
can.
no
Yeah.
VSync, no.
No VSync, nothing. Uncapped.
VSync is the
recommend-
worst offender, but
Yeah.
G-Sync and FreeSync do have some delay associated with them too. They're
Yeah,
much
unless
less
for
than
whatever
VSync.
reason you have some major tearing, turn it all off and just go, uncapped if you can. But if you notice that it's swinging a lot, I would actually cap the frame rate, because you don't want frame rate swings. That's going to be worse than going as high as possible.
Agreed. Also, getting away from refresh rate and all that is
Oh yeah,
when you're first trying to learn mouse and keyboard, try and put yourself in a low stress environment. Don't put yourself into the Crucible
Yep.
and expect yourself to be as good as you were with a controller.
Yeah.
Go into
Strike.
patrol or play a game that's less stressful for you. Maybe play 2016 Doom or Wolfenstein or something like that, where you're not you're not competing against real people. You're going through a single player game. You're getting immersed in that, and then when you come out the other side, oh hey, I know how to use mouse and keyboard now.
that's a good
also,
point. If it's your
Look up
first
a
foray.
video about posture while you're sitting at a computer, because it's super important, and it's super important for long term. And gamers tend to play games for like a while in one sitting. So look up a short video, like it's not rocket science. Make sure your back is straight, make sure your feet are flat on the ground, your elbows are at 90-degree angle, your belly is up against the desk, and get yourself a great big mouse pad. That's something me and Tefty have talked about. Is a great big mouse pad means that you can continue to aim and slide around, without like running out of mouse pad or running into your keyboard or something.
Padzilla.
Don't fence yourself in.
Go get yourself
Is
a
that the brand you use?
Padzilla. I got one. It's 2 feet by 4 feet.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
It's
good.
Somewhere in
fantastic.
there.
Love it.
Yeah, great big mouse pad is super nice. Get yourself a nice, comfortable mouse too. Get yourself.
Bunch of PC nerds in here.
I lost my place. I gotta look for the Twitter. That was a long. That was a long one.
Got in the weeds on that one.
Mohican9 says, when making your second and third characters, would you prefer the story would auto-complete on them or that they have different stories? I mean, given the choice, yeah, I'll take a different story. That'd be
different
amazing.
story, man.
Yeah.
Make it bound to like different factors. You know, you've got a choice over your class, your race, and your gender. Like, go ahead and implement some of those variable factors. I know they did a tiny bit of it in Forsaken.
Yeah, but assuming they're not going to do that, it would be nice if the quests auto-completed on your second and third characters because it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like hitting that hitting the boost that just automatically boosts you to level 30 and right into Forsaken is so nice. Not having to do all of that again, because I've gone through having to do a bunch of story before, and after you've done it once, especially twice, you don't want to do it.
The third one. The third one, especially for
just
the base game for the story, like where you had to fight Gaul.
Yeah.
That third character, man.
Oh, for sure.
It's a slog, man.
Yeah. I didn't do it. Yeah, my Titan I really want to play as, but it's Forsaken. I just don't want to do it again right now.
I did.
I think we all lived this again with Black Armory and the Forge unlocks, right?
Right.
I just skipped it. Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I ended up doing all of them, and yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Going from like 3 characters on PS4 and then 3 characters on PC and doing that story, like within the span of 3 months.
Let's open this one forge 6 times.
Oh no!
Hard pass.
Yeesh.
Especially.
Lange says, I haven't played since Thunderlips came out, and I want to get back into Destiny, but don't know where to start. Any advice?
Wait, Thunderlips? You mean Thunderlips?
Thunderlord, I guess.
Thunderlips is
I thought the same thing. I was like,
it says
I was like, this must be lore. Bifle told me about it.
I would love a Thunderlips exotic to be in the game.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know who this Thunderlips is, but they clearly have a fantastic reputation. I don't know. Like, maybe.
When did Thunderlord come out? I'm not even sure when it came out.
Wasn't it October of
before Black Armory? Just before Black.
Yeah, it was October.
So it was post.
Wasn't it?
I mean, I would say just jump into Solstice of Heroes. I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Do the power surge stuff. Like, get that done so you're up to light level. I'd think about doing your basic milestones and then jumping into Menagerie, like a basic version of it. Also, do any upgrades you can to your Chalice first, because right now that's what's really important. You know, the nice thing too is you can go into the tower, you can just pull out a ton of bounties from everybody now and just sit there and do them all for a solid 3 hours, and it's amazing, and the progress you'll get from a lot of them is fantastic. And plus, you know, lots of them reward like spare legendaries, so you'll get good rolls in the process, and it'll be nice. And you know, all of that
I don't even think you need to. The nice thing about having all that variety is that you can just do the shit you like and make progress. You know, if you don't like playing Gambit, you can say, fuck Gambit, I'm not playing it, and still make progress.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to season a Gambit, you really had to play Gambit.
So, well, damn, okay, I guess I Gambit.
Reckoning.
Okay, man, I don't know, man. I'm still sad that Reckoning is the only place you can get minor, major, and boss spec mods.
Well, why else would anybody play it?
Pain.
I don't know. Sadistic desires?
That ain't my ballpark, dude. That ain't my ballpark.
Same.
Did you get boss from the vendor sometimes or no? Because I have
boss spec. Yeah.
Yeah, boss you actually can buy them sometimes. That one, but you can't buy minor or major. You're right about that. But
the resist ones you can't get. Those are only from Reckoning, I believe.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I meant. The resist ones. My apologies. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But no, you can get boss spec and major spec and minor spec from the gunsmith.
Yeah.
And I'm mucho sad that you can't get the resists from any other source in the game.
Yeah. No, I agree. I have none, and I don't have the patience for that right now.
It makes me very sad.
Who knows what we'll really need in 52 days from now?
Yeah, right.
Exactly,
I'm not really worried about what's available now. I'm looking more for the future. Fawn says, hey, DCP and Byf, who would win in a 1v1, Erisborn or Marisov?
Oh, I think we need to hear from Byf on this one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Byf's got the
1v1.
stats, I'm sure.
So, Important point to note is that neither of them get any reses, and I'm assuming Mara doesn't get any reses of any kind because her throne world has been taken over by Dueling Karu at this point. Shattered Throne is very much not hers anymore. So if she does like reincarnate there somehow, I'm not sure how that goes. I still give this one to Mara. You actually can read in the Mara Senate, there's this interesting portion where the Awoken of the Distributary have split. They've been sundered. They've been riven. And Mara leads a portion of them back into real space outside of the black hole. This is really cool stuff, by the way. If you haven't read the Mara Senate, just go read it. But point is, she comes back, and they realize that some of the Awoken have developed acausal and paracausal abilities. So, you know, when Petra makes her knife float, that's kind of an example of that. It's literally just breaking the laws of the universe because you can, for shits and giggles. But the interesting thing is that all of those powers are amplified around the Queen, and the Queen is the most powerful of them all when it comes to using those abilities. I give this one to the Queen, but I would not count Eris out by any small measure. She has definitely still got a lot of power with regards to the tricks that she's learned from Toland, and I think it would be wrong to count Eris out in any regard, because, to be quite frank, for somebody to survive for a couple 100 years, supposedly, in the Hellmouth, or however long it's been, yeah, she's got to be a really tough cookie. So, yeah, no, I give a slight advantage to Mara, but not by too much. And that's just my interpretation. Who knows how that'd go, actually.
I mean, that Taken King cutscene put me firmly on Team Mara. I haven't seen Eris do anything like that.
Yeah. It's just like, Eris, I escaped the Hellmouth. You see that fleet over there?
Yeah.
Wait a second, I'm going to go do the magic trick. Right. 3, 2, 1. No more fleet.
Roughneck Mendez says, what's something that always cheers you up when you're in a bad mood or feeling down?
Chili. Cooking some chili, eating some
delicious.
chili.
Yeah.
Chili
and then you get farts afterward, which also kind of make you laugh.
It's just like a real homely dish, you know? It's like comforting, warm, it's delicious.
Stews, anything in the variety. Stews like a movie, you know, just chilling.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, as long as I've had enough sleep, I'd say like going like some activity, like going to the gym or something to get that endorphin rush. It's like actually proven to improve your mood. So
yeah, exercise definitely.
Yeah, or even just like going outside into the sunlight. You know, get a little like light sweat on and get some sun.
That's my thing.
Proven mood increases.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if the sun's out, like go get some sunshine.
Yep.
Yep.
Music really works for me. Like a toe tapper kind of will just boost my mood almost immediately. And if that's not working, I'll jump in the car and go for a drive with the music playing, and that almost always works. It's just like if I'm like really pissed off at like something that's going on like in my personal life, and I know that like I need to back it off because I'm getting a little too intense about it, a car ride with music usually calms the beast, you know, like calms you down, gets you going. You know, that V12, the V12 song really improves my mood. V12. You know, I can't help it.
I think I'm going to go ahead and agree with Teft on the idea of just getting out there in the sun. Seeing green is always a very therapeutic thing. Yep. You know, that, and I think, you know, significant others and loved ones are really good calls as well.
Yeah. What if they're the reason you're
assuming they're not what put you in the bad
mood? Yeah, it's funny. Teft and Briar went to the same place. That's funny.
Well,
this must be a common thing to deal with. Family. It is for everybody.
Very Nice Pizza says, if I want to play Destiny 2 on PC and have a locked 60 FPS and 1080p, what budget do I need for a PC? I think the Church of Unlimited Frames is out of reach for me. You don't have to spend that much. Very Nice Pizza. I think $400 will get you there pretty easily, to be honest with you.
For a PC?
You might have to be a little thrifty. Oh, yeah. 60 FPS at 1080p.
Is this a new PC or a used Craigslist type of thing?
I don't think you want to be buying like a whole PC, you want to be putting pieces together. But if you are smart with your money, and maybe go used on a motherboard with an AMD processor and like a 1050 Ti, I think you could do it.
1050 Ti.
Do it for around $400.
What? Any idea what like a i7 6700K goes for right now? Used?
They don't go for any cheaper than they went for when they were new.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're still so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So AMD is the way to go. Yeah. I mean, like the used market is usually pretty bustling when it comes to this stuff because a lot of people like the new stuff and they rotate every year or two. So you can usually get like some decent chips and processors that are like, if you're okay with like taking a board and a chip and putting it into a case and putting the RAM and all that, like you can definitely get by with some good deals. But 400 is pretty low.
If you're talking about, I think you could do it if you were thrifty and made good decisions. If you're the kind of guy who has never done this before and you don't know anything about these parts, go over to Best Buy, buy the cheapest gaming PC that they have there, and it's going to get you there no problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
60 FPS at 1080p is it's Destiny 2 runs very well.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
It is a very well optimized
They
game.
did not skimp on the PC port for this one, so
yeah, just
it's a
make
really
sure your
fantastic game.
video card has like 5 or 6 gigabytes. Like that's why we recommend like the Ti, but you'll find video cards with like 3 or what. Stay away from those. Just make sure to get like the 5, 6 or above, and any of those variety will work well.
Yeah, what's a new 1050 Ti right now? Let me look.
How much does it cost? I bet you it's $300.
No
way.
It's not that much, huh? I'm guessing
100.
I'm guessing 250. 1050
No,
Ti.
I'm off
1050 Ti
is $189. A gigabyte
Wait a
GTX 1050 Ti is with the WindForce is $190. And then there's one that's 175. This is new off of Amazon.
New, look for you.
And then there is
That's right.
And a 1050 Ti will absolutely be able to get you 1080p, 60 FPS.
Yeah.
You might have to turn down 1 or 2 things, but like the visuals, Destiny runs fantastic on PC and looks gorgeous.
Super good.
Yeah.
To add to that conversation, eBay in the UK, £80, so that's about $100 for a used 1050 Ti. So
there you go. Yeah,
it's got like 4 gig.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I've actually thought about doing a video of this. It's just like ordering the cheapest fucking parts I could find and seeing
what kind of build you get.
Run Destiny.
Nice.
Yeah, I might do that. It's like
That
set
sounds
a
like a
budget
good
of
idea.
like what's the price of a PS4 base right now? Like $300?
Something like that.
Yeah, 300 for a new one, right?
I thought you can buy that one edition for 2 something, can't you?
Yeah, it's like a
That's one edition,
250, and then
250,
it doesn't
I think.
have like a disk drive or something.
Yeah.
Like
Or is
trying
that
to
the Xbox?
build a PC for like
Oh,
the price of a PlayStation or an Xbox One,
yeah.
and then even trying to make it a small form factor PC so it like fits in a console, like a
Yeah, you could probably pull that off.
Yeah, I would say a lot of people are kind of afraid of the idea of going for a PC because they feel like they have to spend thousands of dollars, and that is only if you're going for like max like
That's if you're
bragging
aiming to
rights.
place yourself for the church of the unlimited frames.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Exactly. If you're trying to be a disciple of the Church of Lunar Frames, like it's going to cost you, but like you can get into the PC stuff for basically the cost of consoles if you do the legwork and look for this stuff.
part of the fun of it is tinkering with it too. It's like all right, I scanning eBay trying to find like a 1050 Ti for like a low price, or like how do I set up Wolfenstein Youngblood to run at the highest frames per second with the settings, because there's always a ton of different settings you can set. It's fun.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have like a $5,000 PC, you just hit max settings and start playing.
Which, I mean, some people want, which is fine,
Yeah.
but, there's a fun
It depends on your
aspect to it
personality.
there.
Some people like to work on cars. Some people just like to drive fast.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it, dude. I like that.
Hugo Rune 76. I don't know why I was going to say that. 79 says, as a fellow Brit, what is your preferred biscuit of choice for the role of dunking in one's morning brew? Perhaps you could educate the DCP crew on the pros and cons of rich teas, hobnobs, and the like.
Okay, so before you guys
Like it's
say
a hobnob. Hold on.
biscuits are different in the UK, you guys are
I've
thinking
heard
of a
about this.
southern biscuit. which is
Biscuits
which
are
is
like
not
cookies,
a
right?
biscuit. Okay, right. Little lesson here. Biscuit. You deconstruct the word in French. Biscuit, meaning baked twice.
Oh,
right?
like Bisquick.
We have this.
Someone mute
It's a
Brian,
pancake.
please.
It's a pancake over here. If you
Yeah.
know.
Long story short, it's baked twice, right? So what you guys would call a
You put
cookie,
pancakes in your tea.
we call a biscuit. Right now, a cookie is a subsection of a biscuit here.
It
Right?
is.
Just keep that in mind. Watts can back me up on this, right?
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and just say it here and now. Nothing beats a good old chocolate digestive. They are so wonderful. They are phenomenal. It's just light and beautifully sweet. Chocolate doesn't run all over the place. I find like things such as hobnobs are great too, but that's only if I'm feeling a little adventurous. Yeah.
I think it's adventurous eating something named after a body function.
I'm trying to think of something in America that does that. And I'm coming up blank here.
I mean, fanny packs. You don't eat them, but
I don't eat a fanny pack, but I
That's
rock
weird.
it.
What? Yeah, Watts and I know the British slang for what that means, and I'm sure no one else does. And that's what's Okay, real quick, Paul, Fran, Teft,
Yes.
Brian. Do you guys know what the word fanny means in British slang?
But
Oh, I just. went
Because
over this
let me tell
recently.
you, fanny pack sounds hilarious to a Brit
It-
when you
Talk to
Americans
me.
say it,
What's
because it
it
means
mean?
something very different in Britain.
so it doesn't mean
What's
like
it
your
mean?
ass?
no,
Doesn't it-
fanny
is
is
It's not genitalia, is it, Byf?
It is
It is.
genitalia of the female
It is.
variety.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
So the way I remember this is because you wear the fanny pack, right, on the front over your groin area. So
Oh, it's a
technically, it is a fanny pack, Byf. I feel like you're just not thinking about it. Forehead. If I've got that right.
I want to say that Watts' cat's face is the most
Yeah,
appropriate
I
thing there for this
100%
room.
agree. That was
It's
amazing.
like-
Just walked into the conversation and was like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah,
She's like-
no.
It's like, that's
Nuh-uh,
it.
No.
dude.
Are we talking about
Nuh-uh.
fannies again? No.
Nope. I'm gone, guys. You had
It's
it.
funny though that I think I just learned that recently, but over here fannies are your bum. So
Yeah.
it's weird
I know.
how that works.
Digestives and hobnobs. I'll bring some to the US next time I get the chance, and then
Wait, are
Hobnob
hobnobs
sounds like
biscuits?
a-
wonderful British biscuits.
It sounds like a
Hobnobs are
Halloween candy, you know?
No, hobnobs are just okay. To describe them in an American sense, they are just cookies.
A
I'm trying to
hobnob
remember
is?
what else. Yeah, hobnob.
Just a regular ass cookie? Like chocolate chip?
Yeah, kind of like a chocolate chip cookie. There's a lot of varieties of hobnobs,
So wait,
but yeah.
did we get to what biscuit was? I missed it if you described it. I got distracted by the fanny pack.
It's baked. Well, it's just the baked twice.
Yeah, it is
Baked twice? What does baked twice even mean? Explain to me who's not.
As in
It's
literally, you
biscuit.
bake it once, then you bake it again.
That, you can
That's
do
what
that
it
to all
means.
kinds of things. What else?
Yes, but then it's a biscuit, specifically with the way it's constructed. You know?
So you could take a piece of bread and bake it and then bake it
Obviously.
again? And it's a biscuit?
I mean, yeah, sure, but what you guys call a biscuit is an abomination. And keep in mind as
Exactly.
well, like we're not talking
not
about everything
okay.
here. You can't take an aubergine and say, "Let's make a biscuit out of this thing." You know?
Time out.
Oh, sorry, an eggplant. As you guys,
Biscuits
feel
are
like-
abominations.
Yeah,
I'm
that
just gonna let
was
that
that was
ride.
rude
First
right
of
there.
all,
100%.
Now, I'm not. I
Get-
know you're mad that we don't know what a biscuit is over there, but you're
Mhm.
telling me you don't like biscuits?
Oh, I've tried them. They're just inferior.
What?
Are you
They're
comparing
just,
them
they
to
are just
biscuits, though?
pretenders to scones. They are just
Have you
false
ever
scones.
poured gravy all over them?
I
And
have
sausage?
had biscuits
Oh.
with gravy and grits and sausage, and let me tell
Okay.
you something. My scones were much better with strawberry cream.
I like scones and biscuits, for the record. I just feel like there should be more.
Yeah, you see, the
Also,
thing
it
is,
is-
that-
All the food, nonsense aside, it's good old Southern cooking with all the trimmings is nice, dude.
Yeah.
huh?
Take me to Cracker
like
Barrel
this,
any
though.
day. I love it.
Oh yeah.
This definition of twice bake is bugging me.
I'm so hungry.
Hefty's
Oh, the
upset.
potato. The potato was twice baked. It's a biscuit.
He's gave her right. Exactly. It's a biscuit potato. You know. What else, Briar? Because this is making me hungry. I should say. I'm not hungry.
Right?
I
The
didn't
Mohican
eat
9
dinner.
says, you've been told to move. You can keep your pets, but you'd have to move to a worse neighborhood. Or you put your pets up for adoption, but move to a nicer neighborhood.
Wait.
That's got to be a really nice neighborhood, I assume.
Say
right?
well, hold on. What was it again?
It's a stupid question, Tuff.
You have to move.
Well, that's kind of where we're at in the
What
show
even
here,
is this
Watts.
question?
Taft, you have a dog, right?
Yes.
I don't know if
Joey.
You have to move. You have to vacate your house.
You have to move. Yeah.
You can
have
keep
to
your
move.
dog, but you're going to go to a kind of rough area. It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
Or you have to give up your dog.
You give up your dog, and it's like nice, like gated community, like just gorgeous, like
Yeah.
pool.
I'm
in your
packing
house
heat.
and
I'm
pool.
packing heat and riding with the pup.
There it is.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's
That's
really
the
a
way.
morality test, is what or a feelings test. Man,
I got a lot of pets around here, and not every day's a good day.
yeah, Briar, are you gonna bring your Ferrari to like the hood,
Dude,
dude?
what does he upgrade to?
My wife's actually talking about getting a second horse.
A second
Second
Yeah,
one?
but
A second
the
A weekend horse?
Wow. That's awesome, dude.
dude, you already got 12 horses in that Ferrari.
He's got the horses in the back. That's what I hear about.
horses in
Back.
Oh gosh.
800 horses pulling it along. That's what horsepower means, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Briar
then the,
also doesn't know horses in the back. He doesn't know about that.
Briar doesn't know about this. What?
What's
He was
horses
on the
in the
charity
back?
event.
I assume that you were talking about a rear-engine Porsche.
He has no idea. He doesn't know what's going on.
Well,
I don't even think that's a line. Wait, is it?
Yeah.
It's horse tech is attached. It also says horses in the back.
Horses in the
Horse
back.
is in the back. Yeah, I think so. Whatever.
mm,
Listen to the song.
I don't have pets with me at this moment in time, so yeah, sure, I'll take a free upgrade in neighborhood.
Free
That's-
upgrade.
I'd
It
do
assumes
that.
you
That'd
have
be
a
nice.
pet by if you're ruining the.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to
Can
imagine
I just
having
get rid
a-
of one? Because I really have one that I really dislike.
Really?
Like,
Your way
if I could
into a
just
mansion?
Keep the rest of them.
Yeah.
Or do I get an upgrade for every one that I lose?
Hmm.
Ooh,
Wow.
I could be living in Maui
that's
by the end of
that's
this
gaming
thing.
the system. Because what do you do then? Do you just buy like a whole bunch of kittens and like you say, "Oh,
Get a bunch of
well,
mice, yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'll have to progressively say goodbye to each of you and put you back up for adoption."
Get one of
While
those
I
bags
move
of
into
crickets
my
at the pet
mansion.
store.
Pet spider.
Mm.
Oh, I lost my spider.
Oh, damn. Well, I guess it's time to move.
Sassy Space Potato says, I've been told a grilled PB&J sandwich is pretty god tier. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm allergic to peanut butter, so
Oh,
I'll
I'm so
pass.
sorry, bud.
Almond
That
butter?
hurts. That's,
Well, peanuts
that's taking one in the
generally,
gut
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
rough, man. No Reese's Blizzards for you from Dairy Queen? Goddamn.
Oof.
Reese's make me freaking
Nauseous.
last time I had a Reese's, I instantly retched and just immediately got rid of it.
Oh,
No,
Good lord.
what a
I don't
life.
think
the taste or
anyone
the
in
allergy?
England.
I would say
likes
it's worth it.
Reese's.
Reese's are pretty good.
no, I've never heard. Okay, I've heard of a
I don't
Welshman
think
who likes
anyone-
Reese's, and that's about
That's
it.
strange.
Wait, what?
I don't. Well, that's because they're bad compared to British and European chocolate in general.
Chocolate,
Yes,
but that's not
this
what
is
it's about.
true.
It's about the peanut butter.
Did you just say that
taste.
Reese's Pieces are bad?
Compared
Reese's
to
peanut
European
butter cups?
chocolate. Compared to European chocolate.
The fuck you say?
Reese's Pieces aren't
Look,
chocolate.
I'm sorry, but when you come over here and you try Cadbury's, you'll find that that's amazing. And then when you go over to Spain,
You know what they
and
have
try
over here is
real
Cadbury
chocolate-
cream eggs. They're not actually made by Cadbury anymore. I guess Cadbury went out of business about 15 years ago.
No, they didn't go out of business. They got bought by another company.
Bought by somebody else,
Different.
whatever.
Either
They're
way,
stuck now.
They got bought by Kraft.
Terrible.
But no, like also they suck because they're not allowed to use the same recipe as they do in the UK. In the UK, they're actually still just as they were, and they're good.
My one experience with British chocolate are those dry ass things that you guys put on ice creams. Those
He's
chocolate.
talking about flake.
Oh, It was
Flakes
like-
are god tier, dude. Don't you?
it was
dare
like I was
diss
standing
flake.
in the middle of the Sahara Desert and somebody was trying to suck the remaining moisture out of my mouth.
You just had a bad
It was
flake, my dude. I'm sorry.
Crazy.
Your
You
flake
had a bad
flaked on
flake.
you. What can I say, man?
It was like negative.
Yeah, that flake really was missing like a big old scoop of ice cream for it to be that
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real. Go to 2 places though. Okay, 3 places: Belgium, Switzerland, and Spain.
Yes.
3 different chocolate cultures, but 3 really incredible ones. In Spain, they
Belgian
specialize in
chocolates
doing
are
stuff that's
incredible.
really dark cacao percentages, and that's really fantastic. Switzerland and Belgium, they're more generalistic, but they're the world-renowned ones that are just super good. God, they're so
And that's our thoughts on the grilled PB&J sandwich.
Yeah.
yeah. Don't eat
Some chocolate on it.
I will have my J, but not my PP.
There you go.
Awesomeness says it's the DCP Tag Team Championship match. Briar and Watts are captains. Choose 2 podcast members to be your tag team partners. 1 wild card to be your manager. Byf cannot be chosen because he is the ring announcer.
Isn't this like the one time we chose a dodgeball team and also a hot dog eating team?
It's completely different. This is tag team wrestling. Completely different.
Wait, wrestling? I thought it was
What
tag
are
team.
the roles again?
I thought it was like tag, just like tag.
No. Tag team wrestling championship.
Choosing a team.
Wrestling? Oh. Wow.
For tag
Well, I'm
team
glad
wrestling.
that I'm not
But we have
playing
to choose a
then,
coach?
because I
No,
never
did
want to
that
be
ever?
on a tag team.
Gotta choose your team for the podcast members, and your wild card is your manager. So like anybody from anywhere could be your manager.
But is it
Can the
you and
manager
someone
jump in the
who's-
ring as well, like occasionally in WWE or something?
Oh, I
Yeah,
think
they
so. I would
definitely
hope
have
so.
to. They
Oh
have to.
man.
So there's
Well,
the 2 extra would be Pope and Holtz, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Fran.
No, that's what I'm saying. Who are not here at the moment is Pope and Holtz
Oh, okay.
are the other
Yeah.
2 members. So
Yeah.
what's it going to be?
So you can choose from them, and then you have a wild card.
Yes.
That's what I'm
Watch.
saying.
Choose first.
can I choose Briar?
No,
He's a
I'm
team
the
captain.
other
He's the other
team
team
captain.
Wait, why are you on it? I feel like it's going to be very.
Trying
I
to
thought we could choose. you. Why can't we
captainception?
choose
I
you?
Everyone's
nominated
the
the enemy
captain.
team captain to be one of the people on my team, so ultimately it's all my team. So we always
Yeah.
win. This is
There we go.
Savathun.
That's
Just go with
exactly
Bife's
what I
answer.
was thinking. That's my thought. I'm gonna go with that.
All right. I guess we're all just getting along. I'm going to choose Pope because I always choose Pope when it comes to
Pope
anything
will bite
competitive.
people.
Pope's scrappy,
He's a
man.
fucking maniac.
Yeah.
He will.
I think
They're
Pope
weird
can
stuff.
access a really dark place in his mind and then just go like rabid, you know?
Oh yeah.
Look, I don't want to be between Pope and something that he really wants. That's all I know.
Fact.
Big fact.
Pope has got the drive and he's got the will.
And he's got the disregard for the law as well.
That's right. And your life.
I am the Pope. I am the law. You know?
All right. I don't think this is going anywhere. Is this going anywhere?
I think
Let's
we
move
are
on.
sufficient answer.
All right.
Good answer.
We're
Good
picking
answer.
Pope
That was
to
great.
bite people. That's our answer.
NW Mech. This is the last question. NW Mech says, why not combine Briar's Ferrari Friday and Watts' love of anime to do Initial D-Day? Go
Oh, this
rent
is
some
great.
cool cars and drive the Touge, Touge. I don't know if that's a misspelling or if that's a word, outside of Tokyo.
We should do that. That sounds great. Let's do that.
I'm in. We'll do
Down it, yeah.
DCP Drift. Tokyo
DCP
Drift.
Drift. It writes
right.
itself.
Yeah.
Right?
I like it.
I like it.
Sure.
We're sold. You set it up, NW Mech.
Yeah, where do we
We'll
sign?
be there.
And we'll
You
be
let
there.
us know
We'll
where to
show
go.
up.
We'll turn up.
We'll make that happen.
That's it. That's all the questions for this week. There were actually a ton of questions this week. I that was 6 pages of questions we just went through.
Nice.
Wow.
Yep. The podcast is already 2.5 hours. You can only have so many questions, guys.
Right.
Only so many. Well, it's been a great show. That's it,
Yeah.
right?
It's been good.
Absolutely.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think we've done it.
We did it.
I've learned so much.
We done did it.
Absolutely. Shout out to our Patreon
Side
members.
quest out.
Side quest out, yeah. Shout out to
Oh,
our
wait.
Patreon members for making the show happen. We do appreciate all the support. And yes, we do have another podcast, Side Quest, that happens on Mondays, 1 p.m. Pacific time, where we talk about other things that
Yeah,
happen.
we got a lot to talk about this
Wait,
week.
do
We're
you
gonna be obviously talking about Youngblood. Me and Tefty are going to be playing that after the podcast.
That's right. Brian and I are going to be killing Nazis tonight.
That's right. I got the Oculus Rift S. I can't wait to talk about that on the podcast. There's a ton of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
So tune in on Monday.
Gonna be good
Did you
stuff.
say side quest out at the end?
We say Side Quest
Say
complete.
Side Quest
Complete.
complete.
I think I always
Okay.
fuck it up though.
Fran's like, hang on a second.
Briar's just wild carding all over the place right now.
Stolen this from someone.
Familiar to me.
All right.
If you did, yeah, I coined that term on.
Do they
Oh,
all
on Fire
point
Team
at the
Chat.
screen at the end and do it in sync? I wonder.
Definitely
Till
not.
next time.
No, we did. We go like Side Quest complete. Do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah, we
Oh,
try to
I
make
like
a little
that,
jingle, like a
actually.
bring, you know, like
Yeah, little
like
jingle.
Mario
I like
jumped
that.
up and
We
got a
got
coin.
jingle.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. All right. If you want to find more of me, you can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft, where most recently I will be streaming some Wolfenstein with Briar in like
That's right.
in a
like
half
10
hour
minutes,
to
15
an hour or
minutes.
something, or in 10 minutes or something.
Something we haven't decided on that exactly
Midnight
yet. But we're gonna go kill some Nazis.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Yeah, and it's going to
gonna
be
be
super
good.
late for
Sounds
Briar.
great. Sounds like good.
Yeah, that's right. I've been drinking coffee actually during the podcast, so I can stay up.
Who's next?
I'll go.
Me, maybe? Fran?
No, you go, Watts.
Fran. Okay.
I knew that was gonna happen. Go on.
I'm Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
I'm Fran Mirabella, and thank you all who have supported me right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/FM3 _ after it. Or I always remind, if you're in the Epic store on PC, you can use Fran Mirabella, my creator code, or if you played Fortnite or Dauntless. So thanks to everyone who has already.
What if I play Youngblood?
Yeah, man.
As long as you play on the Epic store, yeah. Is it there? I don't even know. Actually.
I don't know.
I think it's a Steam game. We tried.
We tried.
Next.
That's
Byf?
Byf, right?
Byf.
Plug it up,
Brian?
Byf.
Do it.
Isn't it?
All right. I thought it was Briar, but okay.
Oh.
Yeah, my name is Byf. You can find me on YouTube and you can find me on Twitter predominantly. Those are the two platforms where I mostly interact with things. I do Destiny lore and I do lore on a few other games here and now every once in a while. And also I do a series on YouTube called That Sounds Like a You Problem, where me and my mods do bad decisions in video games and laugh about it. Or, well, more likely at each other. So yeah,
Nice.
if you're up for fun laughs and people saying an absurd number of memes and soundboards and things like that, and yeah, go ahead and check that out. It's good fun. So yeah.
Nice.
Nice. All right.
Briar,
Good
did you
show.
go or no?
I
This
kind
is
of
what
joined
I-
in on yours.
Yeah?
This is what I was saying. I didn't feel like Briar did his. You know?
Briar,
All
you
right,
skipping?
my name is Briar. You can find me playing Youngblood in about 15 minutes.
Where? At twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit?
Sure.
That's how you get the views. You don't plug yourself.
Yeah. You see, you're making an Easter egg,
guy.
I
man.
was like,
He's
I'm
not
going
a
to
shill
search for
like
this
the rest of
voracious.
That's why I don't plug my YouTube every so often, because like, you know, I want it to be like a secret. So you don't know where it is. I'm not saying it. It's
You gotta
you
Google
got to
it.
find it. You have to actually search for that stuff.
It's almost like we just enter it into YouTube.
You'll never
and then
find
as long as you can
No.
spell Tefty Teft, you're all right.
Maybe
even try,
maybe
you'll
I like
never
change the
even
name.
find it.
Maybe, you know.
But that's just it. Is it Tefty with an IE? Like, how do you spell?
All right, thank you very much for watching, guys. Appreciate all the support. We'll see you next week for another episode. Cheers.